Episode 31, bitch.
5 seconds of silence.
Yeah, I'm ready for you. I become so numb.
I can feel you there.
Yeah. So much far away.
More aware, bro. Come
Something
on.
like that.
More aware.
I was waiting for you to come in with the Jay-Z part.
Rest in peace, Chester.
Bennington or something like that?
Bennington, yeah, Chester Bennington.
I don't know.
Was it strange?
What was it? Jay-Z. Cooking up with the Brooklyn blog.
Yeah,
I don't know.
cooking up with the Brooklyn water.
I don't know.
Okay.
One last time I need y'all to roar.
Yeah, that's a good song.
Who you know fresher than
Fucking
fucking
Linkin
be that?
Park, bro. I like Linkin Park. Love Linkin Park.
You're not gonna love them anymore. You can't, can't fuck with them no more unless they,
part of the childhood right there.
unless they could get the.
Childhood.
Yeah, in teenage years, going through some rough patches, turn on some Chester Bennington. Fuck yeah, fuck it.
I wonder if they could do like that holographic thing where they just bring.
Hologram?
Yeah.
They do a Tupac?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring him on stage, like bring him on tour.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have Mark Daniel on the motherfucking podcast. Before we get too silent.
Huh?
Mark Daniel, we started getting quiet, so I was like, fuck.
I was about
Mark's
to,
just-
I was about to do it. I don't know.
Sorry,
It's
I
okay.
introduced
You jumped right in.
Go ahead.
Stole the show. It's okay. So what's going on, man? How's it going?
It's going good, man. It's nice to be out here with y'all tonight. Catch up with cousin a little bit.
Absolutely.
Share some stories.
Yeah.
So, should I give an introduction of what you got going on, or do you want to tell the people?
I'll just let you introduce me, man. You know enough about me to give kind of a heads up where I kind of am.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, let me see if I can set this up the right way. Now, was it last year or the year before where you were going to do the trip across America?
That was 2017. That was right after Sabbathlon stuff.
Okay. So, and this was before you was working with IHNC, right?
No. I've been with them off and on since 2010.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and volunteering and working, one thing or another between 2010 and now.
So how did you come to meet them?
Really, that was through I think they connected me through West Florida Rehab. Just,
Okay.
Going through the accident and all that stuff, they contacted rehab centers to find somebody in a wheelchair.
Right.
I mean, they can't, directly do it because of HIPAA and all that stuff. So the physical therapy people call me.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm like, hey, we got some people down here that want to talk to people like you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if you're interested, here's a phone number.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
And for those who don't know, IHNC is a robotics company in Pensacola.
Yes, it's downtown Pensacola. It's IHMC.
Oh, IHMC.
Yeah, the
I'm fucking the
institute.
name up right out of the gate.
It's all good, man. It's a mouthful for a lot of people, you know what I mean. But it's
now.
even the acronym, you know what I mean. But the name is the Florida Institute for Human and Machine Cognition.
Oh, no
But
shit.
IHMC.
Say that 3 times fast.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a mouthful. That's why we get IHMC. And I usually tell people IHMC, Igloo, Henry, Mary, Charlie.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That way,
Yeah.
because if you just Google those 4 letters, it pops up with their website and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's a surprisingly small company, or well, it's not even a company, but it's a not-for-profit research and development.
Yeah.
They work with DoD, DARPA, hospitals. I mean, you name it. They work on research for tons of people.
Right.
But a lot of like AI, robotics, algorithm stuff. Programming, coding, software. A lot of that kind of stuff, and
Yeah.
just general newest stuff in the world technology.
So like over the last decade, what have you have been doing? Like what's been going on with them? Because 9 years, almost 10 years.
Yeah, man, that's kind of a crazy thing.
Yeah.
I turned 30 this year, and then in another few months or something like that, it'll be 10 years that I've been working with a company off and on, and really watch something develop from the ground up with the exoskeleton stuff, and that's what I help them with as far as my role in the situation is an end user of an exoskeleton. So I test the device, I help them with design stuff as we go through, so that we can kind of jump on problems like strapping in and controls, and really how does the device feel? Because whether they can act like they're not using your legs, you could, but you're gonna use the muscles that you have instinctively. So to have somebody in a wheelchair test the exoskeleton and help them develop has been helpful for them, and it's been awesome to watch it come from the ground up where it was barely walking around to now where we can do quite a bit of stuff.
So is this like just a full metal suit that you just strap yourself in, and then it has controls at the hands that it enables you to walk around?
Think of it, how do you say? The structure is on the outside of my legs. So to my right and my left, the structure starts as a backpack, where, you know, just like you put on backpack straps.
Okay.
There's a waist belt.
Yeah.
And then my legs strap in at the thigh, the knee, and then the feet strap into like basically like a, I don't want to say a snowboard latch, but just kind of a zip down latch to hold my feet down in place with my shoes on.
Yeah.
So I'm actually standing on top of like two platforms. The rigid structure comes up with the motors, you know, to ankle, knee, and hip, and then that gives me basically like a hinge motion at each joint, and we take steps, you know, in the sagittal area, no dynamic walking.
Right. Yeah, this is the thing. If you gotta talk right into that.
I know
it's hard.
It's all good.
Yeah.
So I just don't want anybody to miss what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a lot to say. So like, not to jump too far ahead, but like, you know, you're my cousin, follow you on Facebook, and there a while back you was going outside the country for shit.
Yeah.
What's that about? Like,
So,
it was like an Olympics for that style of what that is, correct? Am I right?
Yeah. Basically, it was the Bionic Olympics is kind of the easiest way to get a description across. So they had, you know, we were there for an exoskeleton race. We raced 7 other teams, you know, with different exoskeletons that they designed and brought, with varying levels of use and all that stuff beforehand. But then we had arm down amputees with, think like Terminator arm, you know, the ability to use your fingers, dexterity, you know, things like that. And then they had knee down amputees, same thing, robotics, some kind of smart device or a device, you know, for a prosthetic leg. And then they had electric wheelchairs that were able to basically climb stairs and go over terrain that normally somebody in a power chair has to go around. Yeah. And then they had a brain control interface, which is you know, just like a helmet essentially that they put on, you know, different attachments for different teams. But basically they were reading brain waves and using those brain waves to operate the mechanics of like a video game character. So they like walking, jumping, you know, stepping over stuff, that kind of thing.
So this takes skill. Like, this isn't just something that's gonna, like, you're gonna put on and you're gonna walk again. Like, you're gonna have to relearn to walk like as if you were a child again. Like, as far as with the controls, because I mean, if it's an Olympics, it's a competition.
Yeah.
So there's something you have to learn on this. Like.
Yeah. So of course there's the learning curve on like the machines like the Exo. Exo had to learn how to operate it, learn its limits, what it was going to do, what it's not going to do, you know, those kind of things. And then the last event though with the subathlon was a functional electrical stimulation bike race. So think like a paralyzed, you know, another person that's paralyzed like me, which all the participants were disabled. You know, the brain control interface were actually quads. They couldn't move their arms or their legs, but they could operate the video game character to do it.
Wow.
So that was really cool. And then like I said, that, you know, amputees and then the other guys, but the bike
fuck?
race. Yeah.
That's
Dude,
crazy.
hold on a second. Jay just kind of glossed right over this thing. I'm over here, my brain is
I didn't gloss. I didn't know this much about it.
And you're like, oh, it's just Olympics.
I don't want to pull it up on the computer because I don't want to change.
No, you're good. I'll pull it up on my phone while.
So the Neuralink thing, is that like Cerebro from X-Men? They just sit it on top of their head and then they can control the character just by their thoughts?
From what I understand, the looks of what they had here, I mean, it was essentially a helmet.
Yeah.
And it picked up on your brain frequencies.
Holy shit, no. We're gonna get pulled from.
No, that's actually
No.
that's actually a street performer.
Really?
Yeah, he gave us
Shit,
permission.
that
and all
shit
that
is
stuff.
crazy because me and Travis had this debate over AI and virtual reality and where we're headed in the future, and then I feel like that can coincide with what you've experienced with that, just seeing how far that technology could actually go. Not just to have people that are paralyzed or have issues to walk again or anything, but like it seems like there's so much we can do with just only our brain. Like I feel like we don't, you know, like we don't know fully what our brains can do. Like that, like, you know, the quad, like what'd you say, they couldn't move their
Well, they're quadriplegic.
quadriplegic.
Yeah.
They like they were using their brains to control their limbs, correct? Am I following you?
Well, not their limbs.
It's a video game.
It's a
But
video
their
game.
brain was controlling it.
Yeah, like they picked up, like, so they basically, from what I understand, they picked it up where you think about walking. Okay, whatever signal that is, they use that signal as walking.
That blows
And
my
then you
fucking
think
mind.
of, like, you think of jumping. Whatever the signal that is, that's what they use for jumping. So it's like programming your, you know, like an Xbox controller. X does this, A does that.
Yeah.
That's essentially what they're doing. It's not, you're not talking about dynamic situations here. You're not talking about, jump, dive, roll,
Right.
and all that.
Not yet.
And, not yet, exactly. But that's kind of where they're at with that technology.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like us with the exoskeleton. In 2010, when I started with these guys, I had to like hold myself up with my arms for like a good solid 5 minutes, if not 10, while they strapped me into this device and then turned it on. And then at that point, then I could load it and and actually be on my legs.
Yeah.
And then had crutches to balance with, and somebody else hit the button for me to walk and not walk. I mean, it was one step at a time. Yes, click the button. Yes, click the button. And then it was, okay, turn it on, and it walked, continuously until I fell or, we stopped or whatever. And then now we're at the point where it's not tethered to anything. I can walk down the street. I'm in control of all the steps, or what it's going to do. I'm in control of that.
Right.
And then all I'm doing at this point is balancing and, steering, essentially. And I have crutches for that.
So is it something now that you can get into by yourself?
Yes, so like as long the device basically, as long as it's up and running, powered and everything, and we need to do testing. Essentially, it's sitting in a chair. I get up next to that chair, transfer over into it in a sitting position. I can strap my feet in, legs in, waist, backpack, all that, and stand up from that chair and take a walk.
Is it very fast?
No, that's where we're at right now. So with the Cybathlon, we were able to do and follow through with a lot of dynamic walking in a sense, so the device could make me walk.
Mm-hmm.
It's a slow walk, about half the speed as a normal person. So in that, I could steer the device through the slalom, up a ramp, up a 15-degree ramp, open a door, close the door behind me, down a 20-degree ramp, stepping stones, which is like lily pads kind of situation.
Okay, yeah.
So lily pads, and then I did 6 stairs up, a small platform, 6 stairs down, race to the finish. That was my obstacle course. And so I could do all those things, but we were slow. It takes us about, fastest I think I ever did it was close to about 8 minutes.
Now, is the top technology across the world right in the same race? Like, is there other countries that are way ahead of what we got going on over here?
There was one, the company or the people that beat us in the Cybathlon in 2016. So we got second.
Okay.
And we got second. I think we lost if I remember correctly, we lost by 7 points, which is a difference in obstacles that we did and they did. We did the stepping stones. They skipped the stepping stones. They did a tilted path. We skipped the tilted path.
Okay.
And it wasn't a matter of we couldn't do it. It was a time constraint and a risk factor that
Gotcha.
we didn't want to put into it. So by them swapping and doing those two, like swapping those, they were able to get the extra 7 points, and they beat us by a good 5 to 10 seconds in the actual foot race, like start to finish.
Yeah.
So we were right on their heels, but they beat us, and I can't remember the guy's name. They're an Austrian team. It's the Rewalk. It's another exoskeleton. They're commercially available. The VA actually buys those for veterans.
No kidding.
Yeah, there's in certain situations they'll buy them for veterans, and they are on the market right now for sale. The guy's been using his for 3 years leading up to the competition, and I had about 8 weeks with the machine that we brought in.
Yeah.
So I mean, we were close. So when we plan on going back in 2020, which will be next spring, so May of 2020, we're going back, and that'll be with the 4th generation. So right now we're only walking in like a hinged position for your hip, knee, and ankle. So I think 90 degrees, like a hinge joint on a door.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be able to abduct and adduct, which is the ability for you to swing your leg to the like inside and out. Like, you know what I mean? Like you have your straight leg and you bow it out. So doing that, that'll give us the ability to kind of sidestep and move a lot faster through obstacles.
Almost like juking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'll be able to give it, that's a natural gait, because you don't walk in a perfectly hinged, sagittal plane forward and backward. You have a swing to your leg and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, and that ability gives you better balance, stability, and you're able to walk. Like if somebody goes to trip you, you're able to quickly adjust your weight.
Well, not Jay, but I feel you.
Yeah, but that's the thing. The idea is when we go back in 2020, we want to be able to walk in a more dynamic fashion and give the exoskeleton more ability to make decisions as far as balance and stuff like that, like settings and modes where you're standing still, it'll balance. I can grab and move things across a countertop or a table or something like that. And then we want it to be able to walk, up and down stairs easily. Stuff like that. So we're just in that ability to adduct and abduct and moving in some smart technology where it's able to sense and use that sensor for balance and stability on its own without my direction. That'll be our next focus.
So how long before the robot consumes you completely, and you're just walking around shooting missiles and shit out of your shoulders.
Well, and that's kind of the cool thing about working at IHMC is our director, Ken Ford. He's the guy that started IHMC probably 10 or 15 years ago, maybe 20 by now. But he actually is on the board for like the AI, like Bill of Rights kind of situation, like the Constitution of AI, like what the AI can and can't do.
So that's something they're thinking about.
Yeah,
already.
he is at like the forefront of pretty much all technologies in the field of STEM. Like they actually do their own podcasts and stuff like that, STEM talk.
Yeah.
And it's everything you can think about as far as technology, what's modern with medicine, all kinds of stuff. Lots of good information there.
Are you hip to stem cell research and stuff like that?
I've looked into a little bit of it. I looked into it more, in the beginning stages when they first started talking about it, when I first got in the accident.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so, I don't know enough about it to talk about it. Everything that I've seen is just so hit and miss.
Well, speaking of the accident, let's get to how we got here and all this cool shit that you're actually getting to do, traveling the country and stuff that I've told you this before, majority of people don't get to do the shit that you've done, and you've had an accident. So take us down how we got here.
All right. Well, I mean, you bring up like me traveling to other countries to do this triathlon. This is moving, paraplegic mobility and stuff, to the forefront. Is what I do now is basically solely the idea of getting people like me out of this wheelchair.
Yeah.
Because, as you know, I've adjusted very well. I can get around in my wheelchair as much as I want.
I would say you adjusted better than I couldn't see anybody adjusting any better than how you did to it when it happened, and as fucking go lucky and as crazy as you were back then, to be sat down in a wheelchair, like you got back up and was like, well, what's next? But that's from my perspective, because it was like you were never shook or broke from it.
Yeah.
Like a couple years later, we were hearing about fucking you're traveling against the fucking country. I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, what drives that? What gives you that? Because you wasn't doing that when you were walking and wasn't injured. It was like there was something that triggered in your mind that where you shot for something else different in life, and it seems to take you more places.
Well, honestly, I think the wheelchair is a result of that wanderlust. Like I've had a long time to adjust to the wheelchair and everything. So before we get into like the further into the story of the adjustments, I'll go ahead and start with the beginning of like where all how all this started.
Yeah.
So basically, had a pretty normal childhood up to like 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
Started dabbling a little bit in smoking pot and stuff like that.
Older cousin.
Well, yeah, and stuff, started kind of going off in that area. I've been, riding dirt bikes and all that, so I was very well adjusted to speed and adrenaline and like thinking under pressure, that quick split-second decision-making situations.
And you've had close near-death experiences before this.
Yeah.
You have been told you've had 9 lives, and
by everybody that knows me.
Yeah. Okay,
so so I lived risky like that, growing up, and so that taught me a lot about different things that you learn in those situations. Mm-hmm. But that brings up to not having the dirt bike anymore at a certain point, around 15, and that's when I started dabbling very much into the harder drugs, coke and stuff like that.
You gotta find that rush, man.
Yeah, well, that's really what it was, man. I was an adrenaline junkie and needed something to spike that.
Fill that void.
So and eventually it became coke, man, like real bad, to the point of like I can remember 10-gram weeks.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? Like gram a day at 15, 16, well 16, by 16
you're getting that bread, son.
Dude, and doing horrible things, like in some cases stealing, you know what I mean? And in most cases though, I earned the money by doing things related to drugs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just one thing or another, courier, pickup, whatever.
Basically down an ugly road.
Yeah, definitely an ugly road, dude. And the things that taught me.
Never like sucking dick for coke.
No, God, no. And thank God, man, I can put my hand on anything right now and tell you I've never smoked crack.
That's
like
good.
I banged a lot of coke in the day, you know what I mean? Like snorted my fair share.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But never smoked no crack, never did any heroin, never shot anything with needles.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. It was always like a bunch of coke, smoked a bunch of weed, whiskey. Oh yeah, dude. Had a summer of ecstasy between 15 and 16.
Okay.
So like Like everybody, yeah, that's a whole. Those are
So kind
stories.
of like how Picasso has his blue period, you had your summer of ecstasy.
Yeah, between 15 and 16, you're like between my freshman and sophomore year of high school.
Okay.
Yeah,
So this is when all this is going down, when you're 15, 16.
Okay, yeah. So think like basically like
That's-
freshman, sophomore, junior year
Yeah.
were pretty rough years as far as like going into drugs and being around the wrong crowds.
I remember being a sophomore just trying to get my first piece of pussy. I didn't know what cocaine was.
Dude, and that's the
so
thing,
you were
like-
definitely in there.
Well, and that's the thing,
Early.
dude, that I didn't even never chased. I
Yeah.
never chased pussy, dude, ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was never like.
You were chasing the dragon.
Yeah. Well, think about it this way, man. Like my parents, man, my mom and dad taught me a lot of stuff about life in general.
Mhm.
One thing that was drilled into my head growing up, I can remember that both of them looking at me in the face and saying it's like they talked about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they would both tell me, "You're gonna graduate high school, and you're not gonna have any kids before you do it."
Right.
Because my dad barely graduated before my mom had. My sister, my mom didn't graduate at all. She got her GED, I think, when she was like early 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that time period when she was getting her GED, which that's another lesson she taught me about working, like working a job, coming home, doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, I guess coming through the drug period, taught me a lot. And then come 17, like I was getting pretty bad, like pretty bad. I finished my junior year in high school, and I was supposed to graduate in 07, but I only had like 3 classes to graduate, without going to school for the next senior year. You know what I mean? So I took that opportunity, real quick. I was like, yeah, I'll jump on those 3 classes over summer school. You know what I mean? So 6 weeks out of my junior year through the summer, I'm graduated. I've already taken my test. I got my 3 credits. I graduated from Pensacola Adult High.
Yeah.
So Pensacola State College now. But so I graduated from there, and like a month or 2 goes by, something in that time frame, where where mom and dad basically were like, hey, like, you want to go to this Job Corps thing that we found? Like, it's an opportunity for you to get out of this situation that you've dug yourself into. You know what I mean? A way to just get away from everything.
So they knew about the drugs?
Oh yeah, dude. Like it was obvious, dude. And JC can tell you, like everybody knew. Like there was
Kind
no
of like
doubt.
whenever you drink a glass of milk, you have that mustache.
Yeah,
You have
dude.
like Coke on your
Well,
nostrils.
no, like just your eyes are pegged out all the time. You know what I mean?
I'm going for a run.
Yeah.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll get into the run. I can tell you a story about a run that I did one time.
Okay.
And not like going to get drugs. No, a literal run.
Yeah,
I'll
just
tell
a
you.
full out sprint.
Oh yeah, dude, I can tell you. So we go through the drug stuff and all that, and they're like, hey, you need to do this. Like it's either do this or you're on your own. Is pretty much what I got.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is, like people can say that's too harsh, but you know what I mean, you get what you need in life whether you like it or not.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that was my option, was live on the street, which I knew I didn't want to be there. You know what I mean? Or, like pick up and do this.
Yeah.
So like we went and seen a counselor, picked something, and I'll never forget, man, like my dad, he's like, well, plumber's here on the trades list, and like I remember looking at him like, Dad, you told me my whole life growing up I shouldn't be a plumber because I'd work too hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I didn't pick plumbing, but I did do. I picked. It was diesel mechanics.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that was what I picked, and the place for that was Greenville, Kentucky, Muhlenberg Career Development Center, Job Corps Center, and I went there. Got there in September of 06, and in 9 months, what would essentially been my senior year in high school, I completed the program like aced it, flying colors. Like for the first month, was basically detox. You know what I mean? And I went in there with a crap attitude. You know what I mean? Didn't you coming off drugs, man? You withdraw.
Fuck
Nobody.
this shit.
Yeah, like fuck everybody and everything. Like leave me the fuck alone.
Right.
But no, I get there at like midnight. Well, I get there at midnight on a Sunday night, which is great because on Monday morning you get up at 5 o'clock.
Oh man.
So I don't know anything. I get there with my bags at midnight. And go to my bunk, and like I wake up my roommates, which is a great way to meet your roommates.
Yeah.
Hey, wake the fuck up while I get my shit in here.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that was great. And I come from like Southern background. You hear it in my voice. Like I come from white America essentially. You know what I mean? Like that's like and you know what I mean? And like, but I was never raised into like hate anybody by any means. Like that was never a thing in the house ever. Like my mom would beat me down for even thinking about somebody for anything more than what they acted like.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But like but I get there, and I wake these guys up, and it's dark, I don't see nobody. I just like getting in, get my stuff down, lay down, wake up in the morning, all my roommates are black, and most of the center is black. And this isn't like necessarily a bad thing. I'm just like it's
It's
complete
an all
shock
shit
because
moment.
now I'm in the minority, and like people can say that's like white privilege thing, but really it's just an odd thing to wake up to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're like, shouldn't you guys be in your own bunks?
Well, no, I'm thinking I'm in Greenville, Kentucky. You know, that's what I'm thinking is like, this is like the heart of white America, you know, like this is the whitest thing in the world here in Greenville, Kentucky.
Yeah.
I mean, but it was just a culture shock because people have different words that I don't know, you know what I mean, people talk to each other differently, the inflections are different, like there's a whole lot for me to absorb.
Yeah.
Like, and like I said, it's not a racist thing as much as like it's a culture that I'm falling into that I don't know about.
Because you haven't probably been around very many black people.
Well, not in that kind of room, like where I'm the only white guy. Like I'm the only white guy all the time. There is no like I'm not here with my family or there's nothing familiar. You know what I mean? And it's not even about them being black, anybody being black or white or anything like that. It was just that I'm in a whole new world that's whoa. You know what I mean? You know, like, and so like, that first day was something, you know, like I said, waking up 5 o'clock. Oh, not only are you waking up 5 o'clock, you're gonna sweep the hallway too. Like everybody had a chore essentially in the morning, like it was spread out, like, and that's what the whole purpose of it was.
So you woke up to all this shit.
Yeah, dude, just a whole new world. Yeah.
Wow.
That's
fucking kicking the nuts.
Did you just look around and go, I fucks with Tupac?
Like no, dude. Like I mean, I've always been just like this is what I am. Like I'm the whitest guy in the room. You know, at least in talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if anybody talked to me, they'd think, you know what I mean, like I'm this hick dude, you know, just because of the way I sound.
And now literally the whitest guy in the room.
Yeah, like straight up, man. You know what I mean? And like everybody's looking at me funny, mostly because I woke them up in the middle of the night and they're all pissed with me a little bit.
Fucking cracker.
Yeah, dude. And no kidding, dude. Like straight up, I got a lot of that. You know what I mean?
Cracker that just walked in here.
Like no kidding. And
probably a fucking cokehead.
And honestly, dude, like the craziest part about it for me was like they were all fucking with me because I was white. But they were it was so cool, dude, man. Like I got along with everybody. After the first day, we were all good. You know what I mean? Because like they fucked with me the way that I would fuck with everybody else. And I was like, okay, it's game on, guys. You know what I mean? Like, and so I jumped in day one. You know what I mean? Just not so much. I wouldn't even say stand up for myself as much as just talk shit with everybody else.
Yeah, it's a roasting culture when you get around. Like when you coming from hip hop, like I understand what you're saying. Like,
yeah.
It's the culture where you gotta have thick skin. Everybody's gonna fuck with you, especially when you're white. You gotta have like twice as thick skin.
Yeah.
Because it's coming double time.
So like that was my first like wake up call, you know, like day one like that. The one thing that I loved about the place though was 3 square meals a day, as much as you could eat.
Oh wow.
So I mean, and like it wasn't like I'm not gonna lie and be like it was filet mignon, but it was good food.
So better than prison.
Oh dude, it was good food. Like, dude, like, I mean...
What was your favorite meal there?
Oh, dude, breakfast. I love breakfast. My favorite meal every day.
Really?
Every day.
Bacon, eggs?
If I have a choice of what I'm going to eat at any given time, and, like, I have options of breakfast, I'll eat breakfast.
So, choices to eat. You got bacon, eggs on one plate, and you got pussy on the other one.
Nah, bacon and eggs.
Pussy will be there.
It stays warm forever.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, but yeah, so like breakfast was awesome, man, because I'd go in and it was just that was like the home feature for me. Like so by 7 o'clock, you know, I'd done my chore, got my shower, you know, got dressed and everything for the day, and I'm wearing my normal clothes because that's what I come with. We got uniforms that I'm going to pick up later.
Right.
You know what I mean? So by 7 o'clock though, I'm in line for food. You know what I mean? I'm the new guy because I'm the only dude not in a uniform, obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And white.
Yeah. Well, and I'm not the only white dude there. Like I think there was a total of like
the guards were white.
No, there was like 400 students or close to when I was there.
Yeah.
And it was probably like maybe like a total of like 50 white guys, and this is like I don't want to say troubled kids, but we were all somewhere between 16 and 21 or 22. And it was all people like me, coming from drug places, coming from gangbanging, you know what I mean, trying to get their stuff straight, or at least being sent there for a reason.
Rowdy.
Oh yeah, dude, definitely for sure. And like, you know, we had the straight up like red team, blue team stuff going on in, you know, certain places, and how serious they would get, I don't know.
Like Bloods and Crips?
Yeah, like,
oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Oh, they went by red team, blue team there.
Wow.
You know, because they couldn't talk about gang stuff. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So like, it wasn't jail by any means. There wasn't fences. There weren't guns with or guards with guns. Nothing like that. But there were security guards that ran the gate. There was a perimeter. There, you know what I mean? Certain things like that.
Well, anytime you have a bunch of troubled teens in a room, locked together, you know, locked, quote unquote.
Yeah, growing to be young men.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just guys. This was a girl. It was co-ed.
Oh, damn. So there's a bunch of fucking going on, too.
Anywhere they could do it, man. Wow. Anywhere they could get away with it, they were doing it.
Yeah.
The bathrooms, they sneaking in the dorms if they could.
You see any hot chicks in there?
I mean, not really, dude. Straight up, there wasn't no...
Looking to party?
Like, I'm not the pickiest dude in the world, but I like what I like, and if I didn't see nothing I like, I don't like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, like, and I couldn't even tell you, like, I like this specific thing, you know, in a woman. It's just, I see what I like, and I like what I see. If I don't, I don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, like, so, you know, it was a college jail mix culture.
Yeah.
Think of it like that. You know what I mean?
Kind
So,
of
like,
a weird college, yeah.
yeah. So, like, you're on campus, you know what I mean? You can order stuff from outside to bring to you. You know, people can ship you food, you know, send you money. You know what I mean? You can buy stuff from your neighbor down the road that's got ramen noodles and, you know, Debbie cakes and stuff like that. You can get it on the book for twice as much.
Most importantly, though, you coming in off drugs. Was that the first thing you were looking for when you got there? Was it around?
Honestly, no, dude. I honestly didn't even look because, you know, I mean, you just don't know. You know what I mean? Like, what do you know when you come in?
Yeah, we're on your first day.
And plus, like, I came here to get off drugs, so I at least had the mindset of, like, this is gonna suck, but it needs to be done.
Yeah.
You know, like that. You know, my dad. You know how that is.
Oh,
you know, what I mean, dad's like, this. You gotta do it no matter what. Nobody's gonna do it for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, that was the thing. Is like, I got off drugs in the first month, and then from that first month forward, was like a rocket taking off, man. Like, it took me that long to get into the skill, get comfortable with the teachers, get comfortable with my surroundings, detox, you know, all the basics intro.
Yeah.
You know, and then from there, it literally was like, okay, now I get done with my skill. I'm up at 5. I'm, you know, in my skill or trade by 7:30, 8 o'clock. I'm done at 3:30 there. Then I'm free to do what I want until like 7, and then at 7 is bed, getting ready for bed. You do your night chore, you do your shower, or whatever, and then you're in bed at 9.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that was the schedule they kept. There's something like that, close enough.
Yeah.
You know, and then so like from that point on in that schedule with that structure, it was like off at, you know, all the morning stuff, you know, skill and all that, off at 3:30, in the gym till 5, 6, you know, after dinner, you know what I mean, 7, 8, you know, just doing whatever, keeping busy. You know what I mean? And I run 5-10 miles a day. And I didn't start at 5-10 miles a day. I started it until I choked myself out, and then I, you know, take a break and run some more.
Yeah.
You know, so like I started just gruelingly putting myself through just physical demand. Like, you know, I did my trades and stuff all day, which was heavy work with tractors, you know, and working on stuff like that. And then getting off and doing the gym stuff and, you know, running and all that. And so from there, I just got stronger and, you know, endurance built, you know, and like I was a beast when I left there, man. I probably weighed like 175, 180 pounds, you know, upwards of close to 6 foot tall, like 5'10", 6 foot tall. And just built like a rock as far as, you know, like I never was a big dude, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just, I could run, I could do whatever, I could jump, you know, I was just on it at 18 years old when I left. And so I graduated, my mom came up, she never seen me graduate high school, so that was a big thing. She came up and watched me walk my stage and get my little certificates and all that. And then I bought a truck while I was up there from working with like on-the-job training. On-the-job training, older man, probably like my grandpa kind of era. He taught me a lot about patience and, you know, and all that kind of stuff, and learning how to work on the engines and rebuild stuff. And then working with him, he paid me like $5 an hour, you know, just dirt, you know, less than minimum wage, just nothing. But I didn't have any bills, you know, so I saved all that money and ended up buying the truck I got in my accident with. And I come home, and if I'm home the first day of June, Dad gets me a job delivering industrial stuff with somebody that he knows. That gets me in the door with some supervisors and stuff at welding shops. Ended up getting a job where my stepdad worked at, you know, being a hand. Did a little bit of welding, you know, fitting little pieces and stuff like that, and then a lot of grinding work, grinding equipment, you know, and all that. And that's when I started working. That was probably like early August, 1st of August. And that's when the 7 days a week, 10 hours plus a day started. And that was pretty much about 3 months until October. So now we're talking about birthday, turning 18 May 22nd of 07, and then getting home June 1st, starting industrial work of some kind, working 5-6 days a week, 7 days a week start in August, and then from there till October 19th was pretty much work. You know, I worked 93 hours the 8 days leading up to my accident, and then just fell asleep on the way home one night, flipped the truck 7 times, got ejected out of the passenger door or the windshield, and I woke up in the hospital a few days later.
So you don't even remember going to sleep or anything like that?
I remember enough about the night of the accident to piece it together. So I remember getting off work late. I stopped at a friend of mine's house. We were watching some game or something like that. I fell asleep on the couch, and I woke up jumping on my feet. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you snap out of a dream or something like that, and you're like, I'm not in the right place.
Oh fuck, I need to be awake.
Yeah. And then so I gotta go home and get some sleep so I can get to work. You know what I mean? So I get in the truck and I remember looking at the watch or whatever. It was like 10:30. Get in the truck at 10:30. Start heading toward like Quintet Highway, crossing the bridge on Quintet. I bounced off the curb a little bit, and like that woke me up. You know what I mean? Like, oh crap! You know, like I need to wait. You know, windows down. You know, radio going. So I make it to the end of Quintet and jump the railroad tracks. Like I jumped the railroad track. I don't know how fast I was going. I was going fast enough to get all 4 tires off the ground in that truck.
Fuck.
And like barely stopped before I went off the woods, you know, at the end of the stop sign. So now I remember taking that ride at the stop sign. That's the last thing I remember. And I wake up in the hospital a few days later.
So you remember being stopped at the stop sign and turning?
Yeah.
And then you weren't in the wreck yet, though.
No, that was like the last
So the
5 or
railroad
6
tracks
miles
didn't
stretch.
initiate the.
No, the railroad tracks
I just
didn't.
fucking remember clearing.
I just remember jumping before they smoothed them out. Now
Yeah.
they're all smooth.
Yeah.
Before they smoothed them out, it was like a ramp.
I remember.
You know what I mean? I hit that thing. I had to have been at least doing about 65 because I've hit them doing 50 before and didn't get air.
So you take a right, and that's all you remember. You
Yeah.
wake up in the hospital.
Take a right.
What's
in the
next?
hospital. Gosh, man, rehab after that, really. The funniest thing though from the hospital is waking up, had a guy come in to measure me for the turtle shell they put on you to hold your back straight.
Yeah, that's
So-
what I want to know is when they came and told you, when they came and told you, like, hey, bro.
Oh man, that was. I mean, they said that I was aware pretty much immediately. I don't remember until the first 3 days.
Yeah.
Like the only thing that I remember of like knowing that I'm paralyzed and all that was that dude whenever he poked me in the ribs to measure me for that turtle shell.
Yeah.
So like he comes in, Dad tells me to watch out for his side. The console broke a bunch of ribs and smushed my side in on my right side, and so he told him to watch out for it. Well, the guy reaches over and I'm sure he didn't mean to, but you know I'm all chained to the bed, breathing tube in. He pokes me in the rib, and I like light up. You know, I'm trying to like hit him, and you know I'm trying to jump around, and like I realize like my legs aren't working. I'm too angry at this point to think about it a whole lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like that
You
occurred.
were pissed, bro. If you just was like, my legs ain't working, fuck it. What the fuck, bro?
Well, I couldn't talk. I had a
Yeah.
breathing tube in, and I'm chained
Well, yeah.
to the bed because I was trying to pull the
You
breathing
were
tube
going through a
out.
lot of shit at that time,
Yeah.
so.
So like it was just one of those things. Like I'm already, you know, like I already knew I was chained to the bed, so maybe my legs are tied down too, you know, whatever. But I tried to hit him with one arm, and he rested his hands on the side of the bed, and he looks at me and he goes, "Nobody asked you to come in here like this."
Oh,
And I was like that. I thought I was pissed before. Like
Yeah.
you've seen Dad go like from like mad to
Yeah.
super mad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like that whole like transition, like going into Super Saiyan mode, you know. And so like I can't hit him or nothing like that because I'm chained to the bed. But his hands are close enough to the bed rail that I can get my hand on his thumb. And I just get my hand on that thumb and take it everywhere I can get it, man. Left, right, up,
Holy
down,
shit,
to me,
bro.
away from me, and I'm like jerking him around by it. Still, I'm all morphined up, you know, and all
Yeah.
this stuff. So I'm just pumped up on drugs, doing all this stuff. My dad's just standing there watching because Dad's like, screw this guy, he poked him in the ribs.
Yeah,
That's
like,
how I
he's
know
going
about
through
all
enough
this.
shit. Like he's going through enough shit himself. Like
Yeah.
just found his son and just got this terrible fucking wreck. I remember being there and they were like, we had an idea. Of course I was young. How old were you when this happened?
I was 18.
18 years ago, so I was what, 15, 16.
Well, you're always a year behind
Yeah,
me, so
17.
you were 17, 16, 17.
Yeah, because I remember being there and we kind of had an idea and they were like, just don't say nothing. And I was like, fuck. Like I remember being like, what the fuck?
Now, like, how do I not say this?
Yeah, that too, and it was just a shock to everybody, you know, because
Like
that's
the
a
one
big
kid.
thing, bro. It's
Yeah.
a big thing. We're like, what the fuck, you know? And then I never, you know, a lot of people have a hard time with it. I'm sure you had your moments or whatever with it, but a lot of people go through hell trying to adjust, and it just seemed like, how was that transition? Like, take us through that, because it seems like you just skipped the fucking bump in the road, from what we see. Anyway.
Well, no, like so the bump in the road is the accident. Like the day of the accident is the bump in the road for me.
Yeah.
Like that was the moment that you realize that hey, I am breakable. You know what I mean? Like at 18 years old, most people 10 foot tall, bulletproof. You know, that's where I was at. I was super healthy. I was in shape. You know what I mean? I was working, making great money, dude. I mean, for 18 years old, pulling almost $1,000 a week after taxes, I was doing great. I was working 7 days a week. I was working like hell for it, but I was, you know, making enough money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And how many kids can do that at 18 years old? You know, like I was taking my opportunity. I was getting ready to basically get enough experience to get on the highway to be traveling around making that per diem and, you know, that double pay and, you know, and all that.
Yeah.
And so that's where I wanted to go. And then the accident comes along, knocks me away from that. And I was already in that mindset. Like, thank goodness that my parents tossed me into that job
Yeah, because
for
if this would have happened
and
when you were
drugged out.
fucked up.
Yeah, I would have been shot. That would have been over for me.
Yeah.
So like coming back from, you know, like I had overcome addiction. I had gained 40 pounds up there. I had shown myself like physically what you're capable of, and I was working, making good money, and then boom, accident, paralyzed, and like I can remember when it really hit me, man, was like 2 weeks into the hospital visit and all that. They moved me up to the 5th floor out of ICU and everything, and the next day, and I wish I could remember her name, man. An old Jamaican lady comes in, dreadlocks, like 4-foot long dreadlocks, man, just big woman. She's just nice as she could be, and she comes in pushing this little red wheelchair, and like she's like, all right, hon, today we're gonna get you up into this wheelchair, and we're gonna show you a little bit of what it's like.
Yeah.
And like, in one, vertigo.
Did you ever have the oh fuck?
That was it.
Oh, fuck?
Like this woman was probably in her late 50s, and she like put her knees against mine. It's something that physical therapists do, but she put her knees against mine to like brace them, and then she used a blanket or something to pick my butt up and like stood me up on my legs like that.
Yeah.
And I had, she's like, lean on my shoulders. You know what I mean? So like she stood me up like that, and that was like the moment you realize like I can't do this. So this is how I'm able to do this, because she's locking my legs and moving my hips into position.
Damn, dude, you talked about a culture shock earlier. Now this is a fucking shock.
Well, yeah, that
I'm putting
the culture
myself
shock.
in this situation right now. Like I'm, just waking up, and then, whoa, can't move my legs. Like that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a just the
It
whole
was-
fuck moment.
It was, man, but like I said, that's why I brought up that culture shock before,
Yeah.
like being in the minority, that flip. That was a culture shock, you know what I mean? And moving into a whole new environment of people I didn't know. That prepared me for this one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's one thing that, like, I feel like replaying all this in my mind, not just now, but I've been thinking about this for 12 years.
Yeah.
Like, the Job Corps experience gave me the drive that I needed when I was paralyzed to be able to overcome the initial impact. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, so being physically fit saved my life. Like, my lung collapsed, I had to blow it back up a couple times. Like, the doctor told me, like, good thing you were in good shape, kid, because not many people could have survived that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and so, like, I take that with a grain of salt, because that was what Job Corps was there for. That was my training time.
Yeah.
I got physically fit. I built myself up for the fight. You know what I mean? Just like any boxer does or anything like that, man.
Yeah.
And I didn't know I was doing it. You know what I mean? But that was my.
How fate had its way, man. It seemed like a tragedy, man. You turned it into to something for people to watch, bro. Like,
Well, I
really,
mean,
like it ain't just like.
I don't even think
paralyzed.
the climax is. This is like for me, the Job Corps experience was like the opening to a movie. You get to know the character, which I was getting to know myself. Getting off the drugs, coming clean, all that, and then building myself up physically, like I talk about, like training for that fight. There was a lot of learning in that Job Corps experience. That's a whole story on its own. At least for me, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But like, so the Job Corps thing, and then the accident comes, and thank goodness for my health at the time, because it gave me the physical ability to overcome a lot, and then the pain factor. Like that, like I thought I knew pain. I broke, I don't know how many bones on a dirt bike growing up.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I've fallen out of the sky off a dirt bike, it hit a tree, whatever. I have never in my life experienced more pain than I ever did just laying perfectly still in that bed at the hospital.
Oh man, that's fucking
Yeah,
good way to put it right there.
I literally got, like, picture somebody grabbing you by, like, grabbing you like a twig and just snapping you over their knee and setting you down.
The bad thing is you're laying still. That's usually what you do when you want the pain to subside or at least relax for a second. I mean, when you hurt anything.
Yeah.
So, like, just to be laying there.
Oh, dude, laying there and doped up on more painkillers than you believe a human
I'm
body
not doing
can take.
shit.
Oh, dude, no, that was just helping me sleep,
Wow.
knocking me out, like in a drug comatose.
So do you have like those phantom limbs? Do you get that?
Yeah, man. I mean, to an extent, like I'm
What's
aware of my legs. Like I'm aware of where they are in space at all times. Just
But you
because.
can't feel them at all.
I mean, think of it like they're asleep, like the tingling feeling of being asleep.
That's
It's
what
like
it feels
that.
like?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what.
man.
So I'm aware of the mass, but I'm not aware of the touching or the feeling.
So if like somebody stabbed you in the leg, you wouldn't feel
Oh
it.
yeah, we could Ricky Bobby this right now.
Really?
You know what I mean? And then be like. like, I mean, they would kick and
Would you
twitch.
mind if I stabbed you right now?
Oh yeah, dude, well, honestly, they would just kick and scream. Like, you think like how bad it hurts to kick you, like to stub your toe,
Yeah.
and like how you just want to move. You know what I mean? That pain feeling. So whenever you do that inflict that kind of pain to my leg, it does the same thing
But
that
you don't feel it.
that you control yourself from not doing.
Yeah.
It does it on its own.
Oh, so
Like
it
react
involuntarily.
Yeah,
like,
it's
when
just
we
all
get
it's all
hurt,
involuntary.
Your body, like
Because the nerves are still there.
yeah.
Yeah, everything below the break is perfectly fine. Where my spinal cord is injured is the problem. Everything below that is perfectly fine.
So how do you have to know when you have to like take a piss and shit and stuff?
That's kind of the area where I'm at. You know what I mean? Like in the middle ground where I have sensations to a degree, but I don't feel everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but like the overcoming and like the injury itself was a huge step to to deal with, and I kind of gloss over it because I mean it's just my background. Like you don't talk about the bad stuff. Like there was bad stuff, I can say that, but to like bring up any specific situation that was like the most horrible about the whole situation is really hard for me because I don't necessarily think about it a whole lot. Like as far as the pain side of it, like the amount of physical pain was enough to like mark the situation for me. I'll never forget all the hurt and stuff that I had to go through.
Yeah.
But I can't think of like anything that was really like too much. Like it seemed like no matter what came my way, there was always like a challenge and then an encouragement with it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like I had the perfect environment. You know what I mean? To overcome this as far as my body goes, and then like there could have been better situations, but my mom's always been a hard driver in my life. She's never been soft on me.
Right.
And then my dad, he's shown me what hard work is and what it can be, and that you're gonna hurt yourself doing it sometimes, but it's gotta be done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He taught me a lot about that, even from, the distance that we had. So like that, in between like that, my grandpa's super, he's a genius to me. He knows how to do anything that you could ask him. And then if you go to his house, everything is so customized and set up just around the entire place. He's been working on it for 40 years. You know what I mean? And he knows a way around every problem. So having, my mom drive me, my dad show me, the intensity that you have to run in life.
And your grandpa probably not letting you get down on yourself.
Well, my grandpa he act like it didn't even happen.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
He never let you give in to anything.
Well, my grandpa's like.
That's what I'm saying.
He's German. Like he's so German, stoic. There's no emotion most of the time. Like you can see a little bit of smile and laughing every now and then, stuff like that. But like as far as like being sad or crying or like even I love you, you'll never hear him say it and you'll never see him cry.
Man.
But you can tell that he cares because he moves through things and he works and he you know what I mean. He puts the effort forward. You know what I mean, and that's how he shows you all these things, and that's how he's taught. Like I learned that from him.
Yeah.
Like if I wanted to be genuine and move forward in life, I'm gonna have to accept the fact that this pain is here. One, physically, two, emotionally, and there's a lot that I'm gonna have to learn. I'm gonna have to learn how to get around this wheelchair. I'm gonna have to learn how to to deal with the bathroom situation, like I said, and because all of the beginning was completely non-reactive. You know what I mean? Like it was all new, and I didn't understand any of the things I was doing.
Yeah.
Now I understand a lot of it at the time. But so like learning all these things and how to live again. So 18 years of my life, I've been on my feet, a normal person, and then I have an industrial job where I work on my feet all day, and it's physically demanding all day, and now I can't do that.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the first 2 or 3 years, 3 years were really just that development phase of like how to get around in my wheelchair, what I can and can't get away with, the bathroom stuff. You know what I mean?
Can I just jump in real quick? I'm sitting over here and I'm trying not to ask you this, but unfortunately I can't, so I'm gonna have to ask you, and I hope that that's okay.
Open book, man.
Okay, so the penis, from what I've been told, that just happens. Like it'll just get hard, right?
Oh yeah, dude. There's definitely like you remember going through puberty.
Yeah.
And standing in
Still
gym
going
shorts.
through, I think.
Yeah. But like standing in your gym shorts in PE.
Right.
You know what I mean? You look across at the pretty girl, and all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine
like
for no reason sometimes.
Dude, that is like
Terrible.
that is this straight up like some of the most awkward situations I have ever been in. The most awkward stuff.
Just roll around dick hard.
Well, and that like
looking like a portable ring toss.
well, that would be fine if I'm sitting down. You know what I mean? Because it's not as noticeable when you're sitting down in a chair.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
All right, imagine now, 2 or 3 years into being paralyzed, I'm still figuring out the sex side of stuff. I have, you know what I mean? Like, now, like, no issues. You know what I mean? Like, I figured it out. I know how everything works.
Do you get that sensation when you come?
Oh, yeah. Like, everything is different now, but it's something that you learn how to work, like, you learn how to use. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, see, that's interesting because I've always wondered, and we've talked about this before, like, where does the orgasm sensation come from? Because you would assume it would come from, like, your penis.
No, this is just even a person not paralyzed or not.
Yeah, no, this is like, this is
general talk.
This is
Where's
general.
it from?
Right, because we talked about this a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if it's a complete body experience, like from your brain all through your entire body, because it seems like whenever you come, it doesn't just happen there. Like it feels like your whole body.
Well, that comes back. Like, I mean, we can get philosophical for a minute. That comes back to the question: if a tree falls in the woods and there's nobody there to hear it, does it make a sound?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because that's a perception of your body in your mind. It's an electrical impulse that is initiated maybe at your penis, but it's really coming to fruition in your mind. Just like sound comes to fruition in your eardrum.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, unless something hears a sound, it's just a vibration.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's essentially kind of how I look at all that stuff.
Yeah.
But like the sex side of it, man, that's, you know, that took quite a few years to figure out and actually, you know, learn. And really the hardest part of that was finding somebody that would let me fool around and figure it out. You know what I mean? You know, and in coming with that, you know, like, so, you know, like, just to keep it, you know, keep it going with the story. So, you know, the accident happens, you know, 2 or 3 years go by, and then the awkward situation we're talking about with, like, the awkward hard-ons, right? I'm at IHMC. We're going to be testing this exoskeleton. I've just got this rock hard.
Your leg down.
Like, I just got this rock hard boner going on, man, and like, it's just out there. You know, like, there's nothing I can do about it. You know what I mean? And like, it dissipates pretty quick when I stand up. I guess from the, you know, blood pressure changes or whatever. But like, that initial stand up is just like, you could hang a towel right now if you'd like. You know what I mean? Like, and you know, and so like, there was stuff like that. You know, dealing with the exoskeleton, which was, you know, a whole new weird thing in itself. 3 years later now, I'm standing up in this machine, you know, and then I guess probably by the time I'm 2007 to 20, I'm 21 at this point when I get into the exoskeleton stuff with IHMC and all that. That's how I meet them, and getting into IHMC and working with the exoskeleton just really gave me a cool opportunity to see a bunch of stuff and meet a bunch of different people from like Europe and stuff like that, people I never really would have ever ran into. So at this point I've kind of figured out how to the mechanics of the wheelchair, and I really just treated it like a bike, like, you know, tricks on a bike. Like, I'm gonna learn how to jump up, you're gonna learn how to jump your bike onto the curb. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. You know, that's how I treated the wheelchair, and that's how I was able to really get with it. You know what I mean? And start moving myself around. Was this is a bike that I'm just riding everywhere. You know what I mean? And I grew up on bicycles, dirt bikes, go-karts, skateboards.
Yeah, ironically.
You know what I mean? So like, I had all this training beforehand to understand balance and, you know, things like that.
So this is your attitudes towards
this is how the shift happens.
Not just now.
Yeah, like, well, even now for sure.
Yeah, now for sure. But like back then, like, you're not just more mature now. Like 21, you were like, okay, instead of being like, I can't fucking do this. How the fuck I want to do it? You were like, this is like riding a bike. That was your attitude.
Oh yeah, that was the shit.
A lot, man. Because like in 3 years, like you're 18. In 3 years, you're jumping in a fucking exoskeleton. Like most people at that point, I would assume. You know, and I keep saying most people, like I know. But just if I was to put myself in that situation, I just don't know how I'd react. And I sure as hell, like if someone was to ask me, you know, in 3 years, you know, 2 years, 3 years from now after this incident, are you gonna be in a fucking like? Are you gonna be going to some? It just seems like this has opened up a lot of opportunities for you by the way you handled it.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing, man. Like, so, you know, I get in the accident and I've already got this huge drive that I'm going to make it. You know what I mean? Like, I've already overcome the addiction thing. I got this great job. You know, the accident comes. I'm already, before all the night of the accident, was all about pushing through and making it. You know what I mean? And finally getting somewhere. And then the accident comes and kind of blunts that. And then over the next, you know, few years leading up to HMC, you know, and really immediately, the shift in that attitude really came about 6 months after the accident.
So that's what I want to know. Like in those 6 months, was it like is it hard, like depressing? You know.
Well, yeah, I was a little bitch about it. Like, you know, and I talk to myself about this all the time to keep myself away from that attitude of this has defeated me, because it's not going to defeat me. This wheelchair is not my burden. I am this wheelchair's burden.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's how I look at it now. Like that's the simplistic way I put it now.
Yeah.
But like so in that 6 months, like I'm popping every pain pill that the doctor will give me. One because I'm miserable, hurt, and the other one because I just don't want to be in reality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's a mix. You know what I mean? Like at this point, I'm trying to be positive. I'm positive with everybody outside. You know, outside of my room. But when I'm in my room, I'm fuck the world. You know what I mean? Like you gotta have a release somewhere.
See, that's what I never seen.
Yeah, that's what nobody ever sees.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's
Nobody's
what
ever
I
gonna
do.
see
That's
that
what I want
because
to do.
that's not gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when I have bad days, I stay to myself because I don't want nobody to get the impression that you know this is a good attitude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not that I hide it. It's just that I don't talk. You know what I mean? Like I'll go like I've had to tell people, look, you know, I'm in a bad mood. You don't want to hear me say anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's no problem for me to be like, no.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
in
but
those 6 months, like you.
yeah. So in 6 months, like leading up to right before I got driving again. So October I get in the accident. November, end of November, I'm out of the hospital. And from here to the next May is like every day, Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock, I wake up, I pick myself up and put myself in my mom's truck. I go to work with my mom because I can't be alone.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I have to be with somebody all the time. So I have to get up at 5 o'clock anyway, pick myself up with a broken back, and put myself in the truck because my mom can't pick me up. You know, and my mom's half my size.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like I have to put my legs in the thing, and I broke back, pick myself from the truck every Monday through Friday, man. And I'll never forget the excruciating amount of pain every day. It dwells on me how lucky I am now not to be in that pain.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like healing wise comes through, but I'm still just popping the pills. You know what I mean? Just keeping out.
And is that when you also started experimenting with DMT?
No, that was all like in the drug areas of like
Oh,
15 to up to 17 areas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can talk like about that in a little bit, but so like in that 6 months, like my mom's watching me every day. You know what I mean? She's with me 7 days a week because I can't be alone. You know, and slowly I get to the point where I can be alone. I can be left at the house. You know what I mean? And so like say in like February sometime, I'm staying at the house by myself all day, just screwing around, watching TV or whatever, just pissing the day away. And you know, pissing, moaning, mom's helping me with everything, you know, I'm not making any effort to get any better or figure stuff out, you know what I mean, just a phase, you know, whatever. And I'll never forget, man, she comes in my room one day, she stands behind my wheelchair at the end of the bed, like with her hands on the wheelchair, and I can just remember the look on her face, like just sheer desperation, you know, determination, whatever it is, it was everything she had was just out there for display. And she was like, you know, Mark, I love you to death, and I'll do anything in the world to help you. But you have to realize, I'm gonna die a lot sooner than you are, no matter how long I live. So you have until then to figure it out. And if you don't figure it out before then, you're gonna be on your own, and you're gonna be alone and miserable because you've never made it out of this room. And
Damn.
she just like pushes the wheelchair up to my side of the bed where I can get to it and walks out.
Man,
Damn, dude, that's
You know what
like,
I mean?
that's heavy.
that's heavy as fuck. That's probably the best thing you could hear.
Oh, dude, the next day, dude, like that moment was like, I'm getting out of this bed right
That's
now.
your sink or swim moment.
Yeah, like I'm doing this right now. You know what I mean? And like I get out of the bed, you know what I mean? And like, and not just I had to put the stupid brace back. No, I'm out of the brace at this point. I'm out of the brace. So like I had to get up out of the bed on my own, and you know, and from there on was like, I'm gonna make an effort to make this happen.
Yeah.
You know, and that's essentially where it was. Like a month or so later, actually on my birthday the next year at 19, after the accident, I got to driving again. You know, got a truck, started driving again from there.
Yeah. Yeah, driving. And to jump ahead a little bit, to get more to where you're at now, like you said, in 2017, you were going to cross the country. What trail was it?
I was loosely following the American Discovery Trail.
Okay, following. But you were trying to like cross this motherfucker, right? Like
That was
I'm
the
sure
goal.
yeah, and that's where to put where your goal was set. Now, regardless of like, because what you were trying to do was pretty fucking nuts, if you ask me.
Has anybody ever done that in a wheelchair?
I'm not gonna say no, but because I have seen people that have done stuff in the wheelchair across the country, but I am gonna say that I don't know how fast they've done it, and I don't know what routes they took and stuff like that. Like I've seen videos, but none of it was like leading back to a webpage where I get more information.
That
Does
kind
make
of
sense?
terrain though, because I feel like that's a big thing in it. Like, did they take the highway across the country, or was they like? Because some of the terrain and shit you was posting on the fucking Facebook was like, what the fuck? How's he fucking doing that? Because like when Travis got here, it was like, is that hump right? Because right there in my house, when you come in this door, it's a little drop. He's like, is that gonna be good? I was like, yeah, dude. it's fine, you know. So it's kind of, I don't know where I was getting with that, but
Well, so like, there's a lot leading up to the ability to even learn how to do all that stuff. So the American Discovery Trail is basically a link between like state trails, national parks, you know, so on, state parks, you know, so on and so forth, that links up a mix of highway and actual nature trails. So think like, you know, like really nature trails, and then like walk alongside the road.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's pretty much what I did. And so the goal is the whole trip, I think, is somewhere close to like 3,200 miles, 3,700 miles on their exact way to go. So like I said, I loosely followed. I hit, you know, from what I did, starting in, I put my wheels in the Atlantic Ocean in Lewis Beach, Delaware, or Cape Henlopen, Delaware, which is right outside of Lewis Beach. And then made my way to, was it the Bay Bridge over Chesapeake into Annapolis, Maryland, Annapolis to DC. In DC, I left on the C&O Canal and went to basically Cumberland, Maryland. And then from Cumberland, Maryland, crossed over to West Virginia into Kaiser, and then back over into the Maryland side into a little town called Bloomington. And that was the base of the what they call Backbone Mountain over there. I think it's Highway 1 crossing over from Bloomington and Kaiser, West Virginia, over into Oakland, Maryland. And you basically climb the spine of a mountain at a 9% grade for like 6 miles, and then you cross the ridge of the mountain and then go down the mountain into Oakland. And that was the killer of the whole trip. So I did starting in Delaware at the Atlantic, crossing Delaware, you know, over the Chesapeake and everything, started at Sandy Beach there, came to DC, and that was all on the highway. And so that was a great starting point for like training. Like training wise, that was awesome because flatter roads, smooth terrain to roll on, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I get to DC, and then it was the C&O Canal, which is a 2-track road with gravel and grass and mud and everything else, up, down, all around. You know, like this is not necessarily a nature trail, but it's definitely not smooth pavement or nothing like that. It was a rough ride. But somewhere in Delaware, I met a guy that pulled me into his shop, and we built basically an attachment where I put that 20-inch bike wheel out on front of the chair. So all I had to do was push the chair, and it would go in a straight line. It was a little difficult to adjust turning, but it made it a lot easier to just push on unlevel ground and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
So getting to the C&O with that actually helped out a lot because I wasn't on the little caster wheels anymore. So I had that big wheel to roll in. So that's essentially like what JC's talking about with the crazy terrain was the C&O Canal.
yeah.
And then the C&O Canal, so like I said about Cumberland, Maryland, that's when I got back on the highway. And I ended up doing 382 miles from Lewis Beach, or Cape Henlopen, Delaware, to Kingwood, West Virginia. And right inside Terra Alta, West Virginia, right before Kingwood, I got to meet Josh Thompson at a concert, like a bar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a bar. Somebody that owns a bar saw me like riding down the side of the road, and they were like, "Hey, come to this bar tonight. You know, everything's on us. You get to meet this guy. You know, such and such." So I was just like, "Cool." There's a lot of opportunities that people that I met on the highway.
That's what I'm
That was
wondering.
crazy, man.
Because that's what I want to get at. Because no offense, but a guy on a wheelchair rolling down the road might appear as a homeless man, right? Most people might not want to stop. But you seem to meet people that just either took you in or really like fucking like you said the guy in Delaware just pulled you in the shop and helped you put these wheels on. Like,
Yeah, like he had.
who's gonna do that?
He had all
You
the
gotta have
stuff
something.
there, and he just.
It's just like you seem like you talk to people really well or something. Like you meet them and they automatically.
Did you have
like,
somebody following you?
No, I did all this stuff on my own. All right, so
So
like.
how did they know that you were doing this trip?
I did some Facebook stuff, and I had like a little sign on my back that said like San
You did a little press too. You had like a.
Yeah, news companies
Yeah.
found me out, you know, and stuff like that. But really, man, like that was just another part of the journey of like the person that I am.
Yeah.
You know,
You
like
went from not being able to get out of bed to like, nah. I
yeah,
don't do
like,
all this.
that's just what somewhere in that accident and everything else, I shifted in this world from trying so much to achieve something as to trying to live as much as possible.
Yeah.
Like it shifted something to me. Like I mean, you know me. Like I live in an RV. I don't have a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't really care to have a lot of stuff. Any T-shirts that I have that aren't black or gray were given to me by somebody like IHMC or a company or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, all the hats that I wear were either given to me or just like Dad, like logo hats from different companies or something like that were given to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I live a very simple life.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I'm looking for right through, as far as I can tell in the future, is to not so much just enjoy life, but to figure out the meaning. And for me, you know, I had 2 or 3 years to adjust to the wheelchair, and then started working with IHMC. And from IHMC, you know, I've had the opportunity from being an iron worker who would have worked and welded, and you know, and not that I wouldn't have loved that life, and I have any shame for wanting that.
Yeah.
But I went from that to being in a wheelchair, and that wheelchair bringing me into some of the most advanced technology in the world, working with people that, you know, have sat in the room with presidents, you know, and all that stuff, being put in the room with ambassadors and talking to mayors and, you know, just the vast array of people from the bottom end of the spectrum, you know, the bottom end of the financial spectrum to the highest end of the spectrum, to the bottom of the social, you know, crew to the top of the social crew. Like, it's been a crazy experience to, you know, for this wheelchair to have brought me this. It's not, you know, like my personality, you know, may have carried me through it, but the wheelchair is essentially what initiated all of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's changed me, you know, and for the better, I would say.
I think it's I think the one thing that's been constant in your 30 long old years of life, I think, is like your extremeness. You do everything in an extreme way. Like if it's riding dirt bikes, you're gonna fucking not just jump the little jump, you're gonna try to do whatever on it. And that went good for you and bad for you by doing the extreme. I think the wheelchair helps slow you down and help you focus and concentrate that extreme, and it benefits you, you know?
Well, it took away the adrenaline rush side of things, and the pragmatism that kind of bred through me. Like you know, like I bring this up a lot, and some people kind of get tired of hearing it, that, you know, that I talk too often, but like the dirt bikes taught me so much about decision making, following through, and holding on.
Don't hesitate.
Yeah, exactly. Like there is no hesitation. You do it or you don't do it, but you don't halfway do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the old saying that we always used to joke about was, if you're riding along and you're not sure what's about to happen, give it full throttle, because you may not fix it, but it'll hurry up and happen.
You
know what
that's
I mean?
a good way to live life.
You know, and that's kind of the way that I've looked at this wheelchair, is like, I'm going to figure this out. You know what I mean? And now that I've figured the wheelchair out, when starting to work with IHMC and where we're developing the technology now, there's a chance where, you know, maybe 5 to 10 years from now, somebody will not be given a wheelchair right out of the hospital with a spinal cord injury. They'll be given an exoskeleton, and they can go back to their normal life. Like, if I would have had an exoskeleton, I could have went right back to being a welder, no? You know what I mean? Essentially. Like, there may have been jobs that I couldn't have done, but I could have essentially went back into a shop.
20 years, though, that's not, you know, same thing. You know
what I mean? And like, not that there's not people in wheelchairs that do it, and not that I don't weld still.
Yeah.
But like, to be able to get around well enough into any shop. You know, not just this person, you know, got a job at, you know, working at welding at a table somewhere. You know what I mean? Like actual industrial work. I could have went back to at least the shop work in the industrial world. You know what I mean? But then, like, you think about the technology with IHMC, and then at the Cybathlon, I met there was a team there for the FES bike race, the functional electrical stimulation. I met them there, and over the past couple years, from 2016 up until last December, so December of 2018, I kind of worked with them loosely, and then finally we got a surgery date set up for December 18th, and they put their system inside of me, literally. Like, so I have a distributor placed into my stomach. There's 16 wires coming out that go to 8 different places on my legs, and they operate certain muscle groups. So think of your iliopsoas, which is essentially hip flexors that line your back up with your hips.
Yeah.
And then you have glutes, quads, hams, and the outer part of your calf, which is your ability to toe up, like pull your toes forward or up. And then what else is there? Basically adduction and abduction, so that out, left and right movement. So I'm actually able to use my muscles with electrical stimulation.
And they're putting this in your stomach.
It's already there. Yeah,
you're committing to this.
This is a 12-hour surgery that I already went through.
So are you essentially, like, just not knowing a better term for it, a guinea pig for this technology? Like, you're putting yourself out there, it seems like.
Seems like it.
I'm putting this in my fucking stomach. Like, a lot of people, you know, the whole chip thing, everybody, you know, that's coming. Everybody's worried about, I guess.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's not as extreme. This isn't as extreme as that, but like you're literally getting cut open for this technology. It seems like you have a lot invested with it.
Well, that's the whole investment for me, you know, now. Like, I've had 12 years in this chair, and honestly, they haven't been bad years. Have there been bad times? Absolutely. There's been bad seasons, no doubt. But I look at it like this, man. I'm in a position to help them develop, and really not just develop an exoskeleton, but develop one that's actually durable, and that actually gets around and helps people to be active. Like, it's not just going to walk you from one place to another. We want you to essentially live in this thing eventually. We want you to use this when you get up, and we want you to go to work with this. That's our long-term goal.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, so
it's gonna happen.
So that's my goal for that.
Done deal. You're gonna be a pioneer in that industry.
Yeah, and I don't even look at it for a pioneer for me. Like I said, I get around my chair fine. And that's that goal with the exoskeleton. Get it to a point where somebody can trade their wheelchair in for an exo if they want to. And then with the team in Cleveland, it's actually the VA Research Hospital in Cleveland. It's the Lewis.
That's cool that the VA's behind it.
Yeah, well, no, the exoskeleton is all IHMC and everything there. And then the VA in Cleveland is a whole different project that I just signed up for. I met them at Cybathlon and eventually just worked my way into, let's get this surgery and let's do it. And so they wanted me in the program with the VA because they only have 16 probes that they can use. So they needed all of those. Sure. They needed all of those to actually make stepping motions. So that's why they wanted me, was because I have that trunk stability that they can use, and then the ability for them to operate the right muscles. So that's where I'm developing with them. But the whole goal behind all of this is that somebody like me at 18 years old doesn't have to climb the mountain that I had to climb in a wheelchair. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of stuff you're going to figure out having a spinal cord injury. There's a lot of stuff you're going to figure out having a lot of injuries similar to mine. The last thing you need to figure out is, how do I adapt my entire environment to suit this wheelchair? Because that
seems like that's how you looked at it. Like, instead of trying to look at how to suit everything to fit me, I'm gonna figure out how I can fit myself to all this again.
Well, yeah, that's what we should teach everybody.
Exactly, but it seems like that's just not the case, because so many times when you see a ramp or something, which and for most people, for one, you're in better shape than I guess the older people were, but like, when somebody's paralyzed because everything's fit to them. It just seems like you didn't take that attitude. Now, maybe you had to for a while and in ways need to, but it seems like you're trying to adapt yourself back to an environment. You're not tapping out on, I need this or I need that. Like,
yeah, that's exactly my attitude with it. Is we are human beings. We are smart enough to change the world around us. Okay, as human beings, and being a paralyzed human being, I'm maybe, let's be very generous and say 10% of the entire population, which is nowhere near that. You know what I mean? Like, nowhere near 10%. It's like 1, 2, 3%. All right, people that are stuck in a wheelchair. All right, so, but let's just be generous and say 10%. All right, that's, what, 700 billion people? All right, that's, or a million people? All right, so out of those many people compared to the rest of the population, close to 8 million now, or 8 billion that we have now population, why should we adapt all the infrastructure, all the world to the environment to suit my wheelchair in this modern era, when we've had wheelchairs for thousands of years, or well, at least 3,000 to 5,000 years. They had them in Egypt. All right, so why have we not come up with a better solution? Why are we adapting all these things for wheelchair use and not making any attempt to give me a better tool to get around? You know what I mean? And I don't criticize anybody specifically for this, but we're smarter than that as human beings.
No, I agree. That's why I wanted to say that, but I didn't want to say it in quite blunt of a way that you did. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's admirable how, like, I think a lot of people can learn from your testimony of some sort, and what you've had to conquer and how you look at everything. Because there's a lot of us that's fucking walking around that have a way worse attitude and don't have near the mountain to climb.
Yeah, but I think that's just a personal thing. You know what I mean?
No, it is, but it's good to have an example for some people out there. The people that might be listening to this right now and down on their shit and realize, what the fuck am I fucking doing, bro?
I mean,
what the fuck?
I can tell you, man, like, that's one thing that I'm probably the worst at doing, is putting up with anybody like continuously complaining. You know what I mean? Like Sammy. Like, Sammy will come home from work or a bad experience of whatever, and she'll unload. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
blah, 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 you know, this bad stuff happened. I'm so aggravated and I'm pissed off about this, or, you know, or whatever the situation is, it gets her all riled up about whatever, good or bad, mad or sad.
Is that your
whatever.
girlfriend or?
Yeah, well, pretty much wife. I mean, she
Okay.
lives with me. We've been, yeah. But anyway, she'll do that, and I have no issue with it. You know what I mean? What I won't put up with, and I always steer her away, and not like rudely, but like I'll kind of coax her out.
Hey, bitch!
Yeah, like, shut the fuck up. Yeah, no, but like I'll let her unload all that stress, and then I'll look at her, and basically, you know, kind of give it that. Okay, now what are we gonna do about it? You know, you've explained the why. Now the what?
What's the solution?
Exactly.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like and like it drives her crazy, but it works.
I feel
You know
the
what I
same
mean?
way, man.
You know, like it drove me crazy. I tell you, you know how I fixed my anger issues? Within
Punching drywall?
No, within worse. Within the first
White
year,
girls do.
Yeah.
within the first year of being paralyzed, I ended up breaking my femur because I punched it.
Oh, fuck, bro. That's a hard punch. You know the femur is the strongest bone in the body.
Well, they.
Hey.
Shout out.
I knew that.
Jay
All right.
flexing on his brain.
There you go. They told me that in the hospital because I went to physical therapy and my leg was like swollen quite a bit.
That's fucking nuts.
And I was just
you knocked the
ignoring.
shit out of your own leg.
Like I was just ignoring it. Like I was like, fuck that leg. It doesn't work.
Well, you couldn't feel it though, could you? I mean, I
No.
guess you could.
I mean,
get a
I didn't-
sensation of something wrong.
No.
No.
I mean, it was swollen, and I was like, "Fuck that leg." Like,
Fuck you.
yeah, like I mean, I was angry, like you know, like
Yeah.
you know, like you're not gonna punch somebody and be like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
no, I was like, "Fuck you, swell up, I don't care,
Yeah.
fall off, you don't work," you know.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
like, so I went to therapy like this, you know, and the therapist stops, you know, after he sees what's going on. He's like, "Hey man, your leg's kind of swollen." I was like, "Yeah, fuck that leg, let's keep going." And he
Damn.
was like, "No," he's like, "We need to figure out what's up here."
Yeah.
And we go to, you know, x-rays and all this other stuff, and the doctor ends up coming back and he's like, "Look," he's like, "I can't find a direct break." He's like, "But from what your description of what you were doing," he's like, "My thing is you probably cracked it, like hairline crack." You know what I mean?
man.
And he's like, "And it's irritated." He's like, "You're gonna have to stay off it for, you know, whatever." And then like in that, you know, in that cooling off period, going through the x-rays, all this extra hassle, you know what I mean, because this stupid leg maybe broke, like it dawned on me, I have to find a better way to deal with my anger.
Yeah. So how do you
And-
fix it?
In all honesty, dude, I just, a lack of a better way to say it, turned off my give a fuck switch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like anything that riles me up, it's not that I won't deal with it.
Yeah.
It's like, you know how many times, I've known my grandpa my entire life.
Yeah.
I've never seen my grandpa angry. Ever.
Wow.
I've seen,
And he's German.
yeah, and he has not even raised his voice to me. The most he's ever done to me, and I remember being an aggravating little kid, and you know, what would have set my mom off, you know, and got me a straight whooping real quick.
Yeah.
Grandpa would, "That's enough now. That's about as bad as it would ever get."
Right.
And you listen. You know what I mean? Like
That's
he
enough.
commanded respect just by never getting angry.
Or if like somebody brought him like a kosher hot dog.
You know, like throw it at him. Like, you know, but like, and then like, but you know from, you know, knowing dad, you know what I mean, and stuff.
Yeah.
And not that my dad, you know, was like some super mean, you know.
I've
you
only
know,
seen him mad like twice, and I
Yeah.
watched him throw his cell phone through like 2 windows.
I
of the
remember that
car.
day. I was
Yeah,
standing
I'll
there
never
beside
forget
you.
that shit.
Yeah. So, but like, you know, like, so the amount of anger that's possible is there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, and like now it's just a matter of like something starts getting under my skin, and I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the best way I can explain it, like with the most recent story is, I'm getting dishes out of the sink because I've been washing them, rinsing them off, and I go, and like a steak knife goes to fall. Well, I go to grab it, and halfway through going to grab it in that half a second, I was like, you shouldn't be reaching for that knife. Well, the knife catches something, and I stick my hand down on top of it, like
no.
straight perfect stab myself,
God.
you know what I mean, with the knife.
Yeah.
And like instantly I was just like, you know, just
I can
instant
feel
blood
that.
boiling.
God damn it.
Well, it wasn't like
Wish it was my foot.
like when you see it, like, you know how you get so mad where you're just like nothing hurts, like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean, like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter, like it was that instant. I wasn't even mad that the knife stabbed me. I was mad that I was dumb enough to reach for it.
Yeah.
Like that's what caught me was
You're
like,
trying
you
to
know
catch it
better.
real quick.
Like you know better than this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you let a knife fall, you know what I mean? You don't reach for it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so, but like stab myself in the hand, I pull my hand back. The knife is in my hand. I pull the knife out,
David Blaine shit.
and I'm like, you know, just thriving with anger for a second. I set the knife down, you know, and I don't want to get blood everywhere, so I bandage it up, and like grandpa trick, electrical tape and a paper towel.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And then I look at the knife, and like I'm still just angry. And to fix my situation, like to make me feel better, I washed the knife and made a sandwich.
Oh, there you go.
It was like one of those situations where it's like I could be mad and scream and yell or or whatever, and it was just like, all right, instead of that, I'm gonna make this knife make me a sandwich.
Nothing like a little hepatitis on ride.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Well, I washed it, I washed it. But it was one of those things like instantly like this knife's gonna do something for me because it's pissed me off.
That's a good idea.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that's kind of how I look at all the situations now is like,
it can hurt or it can work.
that's right.
Hey,
Oh,
bars.
bars.
EP's coming.
EP's coming soon. So what is it that you got that's coming up?
Well, there's a handful of things coming up over the next year. So
Besides the surgery and half robot that you're becoming.
yeah. So okay. So the surgery was last December. It's been 6 months now since then or so. And at this point, with the surgery and the electrical stimulation, I'm able to ride a bicycle.
So you have it in you already?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought this was coming up.
Yeah, this
So
is
this
all in
good.
me. I got the stuff in the backpack right there.
So this thing.
I can do it right now.
stronger
Yeah, I can do it right now.
I have to catch a video or something.
Yeah. Well, basically what we can do is
Are you cool with that?
yeah, whenever we get done, man, we can give people my Facebook page, and they can go to the
Yeah,
Facebook
sure.
page,
We'll put
and
it on.
there's all the stuff that we're talking about as far as since like 2015, 2016 is all on that Facebook page. It's like athlon stuff, me going across the country, everything from there all the way up to now is all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so all that stuff there, that's at Rowdy MCD
Cool.
on Facebook, just Rowdy MCD in the search bar.
Gotcha. We'll have to plug that when we get there.
But shoot, now I forgot where we were at.
That's why I looked at
Yeah,
Travis like,
lost.
save me.
We were
Oh,
talking.
where
about-
the next year? The
Yeah.
next
Oh,
year.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So
Yeah.
got the surgery, have the FES stuff in. I'm able to ride a bicycle now, and pedal
With
with
the exoskeleton on?
No exoskeleton involved. This is all the functional electrical stimulation stuff. The surgery in Cleveland, the distributor in my stomach, all that.
So you get on a bicycle.
Not a normal bicycle, but a recumbent lay down bicycle that you pedal with your legs. It's called a cat trike.
And through the stimulation that's in the thing that's in your stomach, they can make your legs push the pedals.
I pedal like a normal person.
What the fuck?
But you can't feel yourself pedaling it.
Nah.
Fucking A.
I can watch myself do it, but I mean, like, I feel the muscle, my legs moving, you know what I mean?
It's
But I
just
don't
you.
feel, it's more of a visual feel than a feel sensation.
So you're thinking about it though. You're like,
No, it's a button. I hit a button.
Well,
that says
okay,
bicycle.
so I'm tripping over here. God, but it's still
No.
the brain thing you were talking about earlier still blows.
So
my
that's
fucking
another side of
mind.
it. Like, well, I'll tie all this in later on. Like,
blows my mind.
that we could, I mean, really, like, the people that are listening, if they could pick out, like, things that they want to hear about, man, we can do episodes and, like, just talk about this specific thing because this 12 years that we're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really 30 years, but 12 years of, like, what is going on,
Yeah.
like, to leading to now. There's
Mhm.
tons of stuff, like, stories, man. Gosh, dude, the things that have gotten me here. I feel like an arrogant person, like, even thinking about it, but I get a smile on my face because of the experiences that I've been through.
Yeah.
Like, the bad ones and the good ones. Like, straight up, man. Like, I'm not a special person. Matter of fact, I don't think anybody's special. I haven't met a special person in my entire life. You're all the same to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I don't
Yeah.
feel, I don't, it's not that I look down at anybody, but I'm not special. Nobody at this table is special.
Yeah.
And nobody that in the world.
Watch
We
it
are all
now.
human beings. You know what I mean? Like, we are all people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, like, my accomplishments are no better than anybody else's. They're going to
Yeah.
die when I do.
Yeah,
You know what I
basically
mean?
we all have the same capability if you really wanted to.
Yeah, everybody's potentially, like, there's definitely some people that get bad luck. Like,
Yeah.
you get a bad draw. You know what I mean? Like, and you start out on a bad foot.
Right.
There's no excuse for the rest of your life being worthless or having no meaning.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of life. You find the meaning and you dedicate yourself to it and you go
Yeah,
forward.
for sure.
Yeah.
So, like, that's why, like I said, the stimulation stuff, the biking and all that, that's through the VA in Cleveland. It's a research program that you're doing up there. It's not a cure for paralysis, but it's a way to use the muscles that paralysis took away.
Yeah.
Essentially is what it works out
It's
to.
definitely a step to that.
Yeah, and there's more info on that on my page and stuff like that.
Wow.
But then, like, so with the EXO, we're at the point now where we've built 3 versions. The first one, like I said, I had to hang and they strapped it to me. The second version, I could actually sit down and we got it strapped on that way, but that's still barely walking, very unstable. The third one, we took the Cybathlon, did very well. We got second there. I'm pretty much able to get around any ADA style building at this point in that exoskeleton, stairs, whatever. And then in 2020, we're going back to the Cybathlon again. It'll be the same place over in Zurich, Switzerland again. So I'm going back to Europe. Really excited about that. And then and then we're going to Tokyo in September, which the Tokyo thing is a huge deal. We actually are working. We won one of 5 places in the Toyota Mobility in the Toyota Mobility Foundation's Mobility Unlimited Challenge.
These things are all tongue twisters.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I know, man. So like it's the Toyota Mobility Foundation is you know, it's basically a charity group through Toyota. I'm not sure the legalities of the whole situation, but
Yeah.
they have Toyota's name, and they're basically the charity wing, and I don't mean just like charity, but like they research and development, they do all kind of stuff, you know what I mean? But they work on grants and donors and stuff like that to give out these challenges, and we have the Mobility Unlimited Challenge, and we're one of 5 places in that. And essentially, what it comes down to is they want the next move in paraplegic mobility. Like, what is the next upgrade or either the newest technology? So we're coming in and we're bringing an exoskeleton, and there's 4 other teams bringing in different other versions of their next move. Which one of them is like a different type of wheelchair. Another one is like a kind of a device that'll help people get around the cities easier, and that's more or less for more your denser populated areas that'll help out. And then there'll be a standing wheelchair that moves around, and then another team that's doing FES, and they're doing a lower limb stimulator. But so one of those 5 will be going to Tokyo in 2020 at the Toyota Pavilion. So it'll be a place for us to demo our EXO, and we're actually working to win the final prize, which is like I think it's a $1 million grant.
Oh wow.
You know what I mean? So we went through the first stage, which was kind of like the proposal and all that stuff. We won that first grant, and then we won the second grant, which has taken us through into to the next stage, which will be the actual demonstration and all that, where we'll have our 4th generation EXO, which is going to be the one, like I said, where it'll actually be a smarter device. It'll stabilize itself. We'll be able to do more dynamic movements and so forth.
How are we looking on time?
We're at an hour and a half.
Okay.
Wow, good.
Yeah.
I thought that was longer.
Yeah. To jump off the main topic right this second, I wanted to, because you've been to some other countries, seen some other shit that everybody gets to see. What's been your favorite? For sure you're looking forward to Tokyo.
Yeah.
But
So
what's been your favorite before that that you actually experienced? Like, what is it about it?
well, I'll be honest, man. My favorite place, in all honesty, is still America.
There you go.
And like I'm not even trying to be like a red, white, and blue beater. Yeah, exactly. But it's not because like I think we as Americans are special as much as I think we're in a special position of the melting pot of the world.
Not to be confused as special people.
Yeah, like it's a special position to be in, because we should be able to show the world that everybody can get along.
So
That's what our country should be.
We're an example.
Yeah, this idea that we haven't, like, that we see all over mainstream and all this stuff about all this division, we always want to talk about what's different about all of us.
Yeah.
But the beautiful thing about us is that we are all different, and we all live in these same borders.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, coming here and, like, my opportunity to travel the country and be in, like, I think I've been, like, 40 states, close to 40 states.
Oh wow.
And talked to everybody from the ground up in each state. Like, I just drove through and just stopped and talked to people in different places.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To get a real feel of the country that we live in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but as far as like traveling outside the country, I think I've had experiences in Switzerland, France, and Amsterdam and London. And out of all the experiences, as far as like the people and stuff like that, I spent the most time in Switzerland, but I had the most interactions in France.
Okay.
And really, that kind of that kind of pulls like a bias to it.
Does ladies shave their armpits?
I had Tinder on the whole time I was over there. Didn't get one good.
Didn't get one, dude.
Damn.
Well, I mean, I got licks, but none of them were like following through.
Should have took a picture with the boner.
Dude, it's anything, dude. Like, dude, I was just,
Eiffel Tower.
yeah, right. Like straight up, man, and like that's another thing, like the whole like figuring sex out.
Yeah.
I mean, I was 18 when I got in the accident, and
Still a virgin.
yeah, that's right.
Do they call over in France? Do they call French kissing just kissing?
I guess they call French bread baguettes. I heard that.
Oh, really?
Because they looked at me real funny when I said French bread.
You fucking racist!
Well, they looked at me just like stupid American. You know what I mean?
Motherfucker.
Yeah.
I bet they call ass eating American kissing.
Oh, good one. Good
Yeah,
one.
I can see it.
Yeah.
Well, and that was the cool thing is like I got so like working in HMC, there's a guy there that works from that's from France that works there. His name's Sylvain. really cool guy.
Of course it is.
Like he loves to talk, you know, like he loves, like me and him sit around and talk, you know, sometimes for 20, 30 minutes just about nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I enjoy talking to him. But, so like there's a difference between a French person and a person from Paris.
Okay.
So Parisians and then there's French people.
Oh wow.
And you know what I mean? And he helped me, you know, like he drew that line for me. He
Yeah.
was like, yeah, he's like,
Mark, he's smoking a long cigarette.
he does smoke cigarettes.
Yeah.
But he vapes most of the time. But
Okay.
Double dipping.
you know, but he's but like I say, he's a really cool guy. But he's like, yeah, man. He's like, oh, the Parisian people are different from the rest of us in France. You know, what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and how true that is, I don't know. But I'm
It's
sure it's
the-
just like us. You know, like we
North
talk about
and South.
Yeah, like North and South. you know.
Fucking Yankee.
Yeah, that's right.
That sound like a Yankee saying fucking
So I
Yankee.
wonder if over in France they're just fries.
I don't even know. I didn't even
French
see any
fries.
fries over there, man. I did. That is one thing.
Came up with that.
I never went to another country before this. So in 2016, okay, I got in the accident when I was 18 in 2007. So in 2016, 9 years later, I'm what, 27?
My God, I'm not
Yeah,
good at math.
27?
Very
Yeah.
salty.
Yeah, so I'm 27 at this point. All right, until I was 27, I had very limited figuring out abilities with the whole sex situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like that whole era of like 2016 until I mean a year, like a good solid year of it was like straight up like just Tinder, just trying to figure it all out.
Yeah.
And eventually I did. You know.
There you go. See what champ fills up faster? Oh, I thought this was one of them
Yeah.
sayings.
Yeah.
No, there's no saying for that.
I thought you were honestly saying that you've been jacking off. Like, look at these ants.
We
Yeah,
took that ball
jack
down.
off.
I was trying to put together how many it took to figure it all out.
Oh, I
Yeah.
gotcha.
And,
Oh,
but
yeah.
you know what I mean? And like, and not that there wasn't any experience before that, but like, you know, just like you learn when you're 18, but like most kids, you know, like when they become like in that 18 to 21 year, you know, they're just kind of bouncing around and kind of getting everything they can.
Yeah, you definitely don't know it all or experience all of it.
Yeah.
Have you ran into any chicks that like that's a fetish for them?
Yeah, dude.
Really?
I was straight up, man. Like that is the funniest part of like the whole being in the wheelchair situation.
Yeah.
Instant knockdown of all defenses.
Like, it's a lot for them to come sit on your lap, I'm sure.
Well,
Like,
Like,
do you fuck in
somewhere.
a chair sometimes? Probably.
I
Yeah.
have. It's
Yeah.
not that great. I mean, it's not that comfortable. It's
Yeah.
not
Fucking
accessible.
I would imagine it's more of just like a nostalgia type of thing.
Yeah, I haven't even. No girls have even wanted that as much as it's just been. I've had women directly come at me because I am in a wheelchair,
Yeah.
like a
Like a
trophy,
dominance thing?
like a trophy list.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like just
Yeah.
like you
Gotta
like,
get a tard, gotta get
Being
a
a
minority, gotta
Yeah.
get a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Being a guy, there's no problem with that.
Yeah, like
fuck yeah, I'm
women,
a part of your
yeah,
fucking
women
hit
women
list.
get offended by that, but
Yeah,
I was
that's
like,
a
yeah,
good
I'll take, yeah, put me on the hit list.
Yeah.
Fuck
You know what I mean? Like just because we're learning together, sweetheart. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
Jay does the same. You know, I don't know if you know, but Jay's uncircumcised, so he's on that same kind of list.
Is that right?
They have to get an uncircumcised
Is
guy.
that right? I
Yeah,
had to get an anteater every now and then.
yeah, exactly.
It's not true. Mixing shit up.
Looks like Arthur.
Goodness gracious. But you know, like, so like that was a whole like figuring out thing, you know, and so like I go to the 2016 subathlon and all that stuff. So I'm in Europe for basically 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and so I get back October 15th, pick up my truck, drop my laundry off at the laundromat, and I go find a hotel and
Yeah.
literally just sleep for 3 days. Like I woke up.
Is it jet lag serious?
It wasn't even jet lag as so much as like for the whole 2 weeks, or for at least the last week, we just straight up drank coffee and drove across Europe.
Oh no
Like
kidding.
just balls to the wall across Europe, you know what I mean, to Amsterdam and London.
Yeah.
You know, which was awesome, but we just no sleep, driving around all the time.
Any space cake while you're over there, anything like that?
Yeah, I did eat space cake in Amsterdam and smoked doobie, and I talked to some guys from Armenia while I was smoking that
no.
doobie. Got high as a kite.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I ain't smoked in so long, and then I smoked, and I was just like paranoid as all get out.
Right.
You know what I mean? And talking to these two Armenian guys,
Very Armenian.
like, well, just they have, I mean, nothing offensive. They were Arab people. I'm about to get on a plane in 30 minutes.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Kind of
yeah.
situation where like I'm getting set up. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like I just, you know, like you just have that, you know. And it was like an instant, like it hit me, and then it was like, dude, you're stoned. Shut up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but
Like
for
they
that,
said, this week's the bomb. You're
Yeah.
like, bomb!
right? Like that's what I was thinking, you know. And so I get on the 30-minute flight from Amsterdam to London, or how it wasn't that long, and I'm out like a light.
Right.
Just straight
Like
past
a light.
that. Boom. Wake
Like a
up.
light.
And I'm in London, you know, and people are speaking English to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because for the past 2 weeks, almost 12 days, I've been around people that do not speak my language. I do not know how to communicate with anybody.
Was it Dutch over there?
In Switzerland, it's Swiss German. You know, France French. Didn't stop in Belgium and talk to anybody. Amsterdam, it's Dutch.
Yeah.
You know, mostly Dutch, if not so a couple other languages that mix and intermingle.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dutch is going to be the main one. And Dutch, I could actually read and pronounce. I just have no idea what I'm saying.
How about that?
Yeah, like I can read it off the billboards and stuff like that. Like I was reading it, and I don't necessarily know what it is, but as far as like to be able to speak it, I can say all the words, and I can just look at the sign and pronounce it correctly.
Weird.
Because one of the guys that was with me is from he's from Amstelveen, which is right outside of Amsterdam. Like he spent like most of his adolescence there.
Yeah.
But he was a really great help because he spoke Dutch. You know what I mean? And that was awesome because I didn't know how to talk to anybody, you know, or find anything. I couldn't read road signs, you know, stuff like that. So he was with me for that. He took me through Amsterdam, got me some. I tried some other food, but I was like, dude, I'm not eating chili. You know, it looked like chili to me. What he brought me was like some kind of like chips and dip stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And it looked like chili, and I was like, I'll try some of it, but I can't eat a whole lot of that. It's not going to end well for me.
Yeah.
Especially not being stuck on a plane, you know what I mean?
Right.
Stuff like that.
So when you go on a plane, how do they do that?
For the wheelchair, man, so far it's been gravy, man, for real. Like,
Do you sit in a chair out on the plane?
No.
They sit you in a seat and they take your chair away?
Yeah, like so airports, man, you basically you go through TSA like everybody else. I don't go through the metal detectors. I don't go through the X-ray scanner, nothing like that. They just have to do body search. You know, which they just, I pick up, they rub, the cushion, they touch my butt, they rub my balls, all that stuff.
Check your anus.
Yeah, I mean.
Prison purse.
Yeah, pretty much, just to make sure.
Right.
Yeah, cough, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Which they usually, man, they're usually they just, sorry, I gotta do this, but I gotta do it. And so it's usually just a quick da-da-da-da, you know what I mean? And
you say, hey, I look forward to it.
Yeah, I tell them, like, can you rub that? Check that again.
Yeah. Hold on, I think there's a bomb in there.
You know what I mean? Which they don't, it's never been a female
and then
TSA
you pop the
agent.
boner.
I can promise
You're
you
like,
that.
look, I have no control.
It's never.
Some TSA just get attacked like today. I don't know if I've seen that.
Oh yeah?
That's
What
crazy.
happened?
Some dude just like, where you walk, you never ordered a plane, right?
No.
I had just done it, so I was seeing it now.
Yeah.
But you walk through like where they check the metal, you walk straight through them. They were like standing there, and this dude just came hauling ass right back, and there was like 6 of them, and he runs straight through it, just tackles like 9 of them,
Damn.
beating the shit out of them. I don't know. I was just.
He's probably on that.
Junior Seau.
He was on meth. He thought they had copper wallets.
I'm sure you'll see it on ABC and everything. It was fucking nuts. Like this poor lady was like probably like 5'2", standing there, and he's running. You see her do this, and then he just fucking collapsed.
You gotta get low.
Dang.
Bro, and she didn't. But there was one old guy that did get low, and it was he got real down, and he stopped him.
He handled it.
That's
Yeah,
right.
the
Old time.
guys.
You don't mess with old timers,
Nah,
man.
that's what I was telling him, because he's got like an older pops that reminds me a lot of my grandpa and stuff. And like we were talking about like them old school guys. Used to this day you don't fucking.
When I was 20 years old, I watched a guy in his 40s just standing in line, minding his own business, and like I'm in my wheelchair, you know what I mean, a few people back in line at the store, and this young dude comes in, and like instantly you can see the guy's demeanor change. Like he was just chilling, and all of a sudden you can see him tense up. Like this dude just aggravates him, you know what I mean, for whatever reason. And so you can tell he was a little tense, but he keep his mouth shut. He's in line. It ain't his business.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that dude like just kept on going on and on and on, and eventually like bumped into him, and like then like turned around and got lippy with him. Like he bumped into the older guy, and then turned around and got lippy with him. Like he should have got out of his way. And that old man or older guy, I'm 20, so 40-year-old, is like holy shit, that's a long way away. But but dude, I watched that dude turn around and just rock him.
Yeah.
Like one good pop, that kid hit the floor. He just stood right back in line.
Them old school cats got something about them, man. There's something else in them. It seems that just you don't see as often now. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the time they grew up that
for
made
sure
them like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But they're the type to shoot back.
Hard
times
make hard men.
They fucking shoot back.
Yeah, well, you think about it, man. That old saying that we used to hear growing up and stuff. You know what I mean? Keep your mouth shut and carry a big stick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, be ready to do it when you need to, and then other than that, you ain't got nothing to say.
That's how they
Yeah,
are.
other than that,
I know that other saying that JC used to tell me about.
Here we
Get
go.
Keep your mouth shut and swallow it.
You tried your best, bro.
Similar.
You tried your best.
You fucking caught me up. So,
Fucked his whole vibe up, man.
yeah.
You just let him get it out.
Do you want to get into any Would You Rathers?
Sure.
So this is a segment on the show that people write in these Would You Rather scenarios, and we, try to usually at the end.
Yeah, people email it to us, so we try to fit them in the show if we can.
Yeah, if we can, if we have time to do them. I know we're kind of getting up against it, but I thought maybe we wanted to do one.
Dude, I'm down, man.
Down?
It's kind of like a segment on the show. It's kind of a staple.
Yeah. And
a lot of people write them.
A lot of people write them in, so they just throw one in every once in a while. So since we're only gonna do one, well let's go with this one. Okay, I think this is an appropriate one.
Oh, we can hot shot him, man.
Okay, so this one is from.
You have me on my phone, so I'm
I
pretty
know.
sure I'm having a hard time reading.
Yeah, all the cracks are in here.
Dude, I have mine cracks and I don't even care until it stops working.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Same here, bro. Riding that bitch till the wheels fall off.
Yep.
I'm gonna pick this one. Okay, this one is from Jonathan in Molino. So shout out to Jonathan. Would you rather sleep with a girl with one leg or one arm? Would you rather sleep with a girl with one leg?
I'm good
Or
if it's a
one arm.
girl, bro. Well, fuck, I mean.
Well, because I'm paralyzed and I don't have two legs, she's got to have two legs. I'll take the arms.
That's a good point. So me and you are stuck with a fucking. We gotta decide. I'm taking no arm.
No arm,
Maybe.
both legs?
No, I don't really. No, both legs might be good. No, one leg might be good.
Oh wait,
Think
it
about
doesn't
it.
get in the way?
Yeah, think about that. Kind of get in there, you know.
Maybe it would be like a weird angle.
Isn't the
I
arm
mean,
not
if
gonna
you had a
affect me
problem
either way?
reaching to begin with, that might be helpful.
Should be off balance though the whole time.
She would be. I don't know. It wouldn't really bother me.
I mean, honestly, anybody messing with you doesn't need both their arms.
Oh,
Probably one
he,
arm.
He set me up better than that one. The reaching one. I don't know. I mean, I don't really. I'm just as long as it's a female, bro. I'm kind of like if she's the only one, you got to take her.
I'll probably take the one
God.
leg to be honest with you.
I wonder if women
Child.
sit around and talk about me like this. Like, his legs don't work, but.
Could you ever be
Dude, I don't
with
think
another
anybody else talks like this
paraplegic?
about us.
Could you ever be with another paraplegic?
In all honesty, I mean, I've never really thought about it a whole lot as far as like would I, would not, and that's really anything like. While body type and attraction is important, and nobody can deny that.
Right.
Like, I mean, it just doesn't matter. Like the girl would have to, like, no matter who it is, she would have to be like.
Hot.
Well, not even the section, the hot side of it is, it takes a lot more to keep my interest than just some booty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I can get booty any day. Like the wheelchair has taught me this.
Yeah.
Like, if I want booty, I can walk out the door and get some booty.
Yeah.
And even if it's just some some pity pussy, you know what I mean? Like
Or as Jay calls it, pussy.
and I don't mean that to sound arrogant. It's just like there are plenty of women out there that
Arrogant
will
son of
fuck
a
somebody. You know what I mean? Like we see it all the
Point
time
them
on
out,
Facebook.
damn it!
You know,
Point them out!
yeah, well, we see all these women on Facebook talking about needing a good man. It's like, well, like they always say, nobody told you to try all of them. You know,
Yeah.
Like, no shit.
There you go.
You know, there's plenty of women out there that are down to fuck anything.
Yeah.
Like, have you not seen some of these women? And have you
DMs are
not?
wide open, by the
How
way.
about-
DMs are wide open.
Wide open. How
Yeah.
about the fucking teachers getting busted now for fucking the young boys? Like, I'm not saying young boys like elementary.
Hey, that goes back to the saying,
There's,
keep your mouth shut and carry a big stick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
Why
Jesus,
are they
kids.
fucking talking about it, man? If my and the teachers are way better looking now.
They're hot.
Well, let's preface this first by saying there is definitely a line where there's rape and sexual abuse and all
Yeah.
those things are all realities and all that.
Sure.
One thing that I think that me and you and Travis are talking about is the fact that these are like 14, 15-year-old boys
Yeah.
that are not, they're boys. They are not adults yet, no doubt.
14 and 15.
But they are not being molested.
No.
I wasn't raising my dick at 14.
Yeah.
My shit was there, ready
Yeah,
to
like-
go.
They're pursuing the
Like, I can
teachers.
think in my mindset at 14 years old, and I've been like, hell yeah, I'd have been scared. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, but
Right.
I would have done it willingly and
yes.
happily, and it may have fucked me up, but I probably would have done it. You know what I mean? You know, like, so I'm not going to say it doesn't have repercussions, but.
Oh, you got that premature bust for sure.
But how many kids were fucking at 14, 15 years? I mean, I think I was 15
and how
years
many
old.
was wishing they were fucking their teacher? Their fugly ass Sylvester Stallone looking teacher.
I was going home jacking off that my teachers ate all the time.
Yeah, or the
Yeah.
fucking J.C. Penney catalog, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or some
for
shit
sure.
like that.
Yeah.
And like, fucking let me play with this thing, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with it, but I want to do something.
All
you
my
know?
teacher had to do was just stroke my arm the wrong way, and I'd been home doing something.
Yeah.
He's looking at
And
his
that
wife
was-
like she's gonna listen to this later. Fuck you up.
And that was
dude.
the
What I'm
male,
saying.
and that was the male teachers. You can just imagine a female.
But you know what I mean? Like, but that's the thing. Like, really, I don't think it's I think it's the change in the teachers.
Yeah,
Like, you think about, like, this is an oddity 50 years ago for any kind of, like, adult to child interaction like
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? And now, in the world that we live in, it's acceptable for somebody in their 20s to be, you know what I mean? Like, not, like, there's a difference between the 30s when you were married at 15 years old to a 30-year-old man.
Yeah.
One, because essentially that was just the way things were rolled and da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
In today's world, in the modern era, it's completely obscene for a 20-something-year-old to be with a 15-year-old girl or vice
Yeah.
versa, you know?
Mhm.
And that's a good thing.
18-year-old
you know?
being with a 13-year-old.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's messed up stuff because there's a huge gap between 12 and 18 and a huge gap between 18 and 30.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And stuff like that. Is it more acceptable at 18 to 30? Yeah, because that person is adult. They're supposed to be making their own choices in life, you know, da 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 da.
Yeah.
And things are just going to happen. You live and you learn. But it's completely unacceptable for the teachers in their 20s, you know, because that's what most of them are. They're in their early 20s,
Right,
you know,
yeah.
mid to late 20s, something like that.
Straight
20s.
out of school.
Yeah, you know, they're just out of their, you know, teaching, da 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 da. And these are women that probably, no matter how pretty they are or aren't, probably haven't had a lot of connections and stuff like that. And then they get into an atmosphere where all these boys are fawning over them.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
You know what I mean? And then
Worshipping them.
yeah, exactly. And the situation developed not because the children or the teachers don't know it's wrong, but because they don't have the maturity level that a 20-something-year-old 50 years ago would have had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not raising adults anymore. At 18 years old, how many kids don't know how to do
She was
shit for
getting
themselves?
beat 50 years ago for even showing her face. So
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
get their
for
shit
sure.
straight.
Yeah, but not even that. But I mean, like, the idea of maturity level. An 18-year-old now
Okay.
compared to an 18-year-old
Oh,
20,
no,
30, 40
yeah.
years ago
Yeah, look at the
is
pictures.
ridiculous.
She was holding a pitchfork 50 years ago. Now she's holding
An
a
iPhone.
fucking
An
emoji that's not even really there.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Think about 18-year-olds back then, like you're saying,
Yeah, working
going,
on a farm.
well, not even that, fighting in World War II.
yeah, I
You
mean,
know?
like we have diminished our levels of like
Soft, bro.
expectations. You know what I mean? Like I am not a great example of an adult. Anybody that knows me personally, I am out there, man. I don't, like I said, I live in an RV. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to be nailed down. I want to travel and stuff like this, and
Yeah.
I've set myself up for those freedoms. So as far as like the version of an adult that most people would see at 30, that's not me.
We have a friend the same way. It's usually like you live like an artist's life, like a musician's life.
Yeah, well, I'm exploring. I'm not.
Exactly,
I'm
you're
not.
right.
I'm not gonna take anything with me when I die. I've already learned that. Already been there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like the accident. You know, like going through that. You know,
Yeah.
taught me that none of this is coming with me at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the best thing I can do is live life the way I have, at least for myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I do the technology stuff because I don't want nobody, you know, to have to deal with the things that I had to deal with
Yeah.
the way that I had to deal with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like everything from here on for me is experience.
Yeah.
Like I wanna live and learn and know and more and understand.
Yeah. The IHMC, right? IHMC. What was cool about that is Travis is, where we work, we deliver to that place, and he's brought it up often because like me and him both are kind of like interested in the AI technology and all this stuff and where it's going, and just
Yeah, I mean we
It's
can
just
have
cool.
it. We can come on and do another talk just
Yeah.
about what the tech there.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
mean,
but
there's tons of stuff.
he was real interested, and I was like, you know what, Mark, that's where he goes. And he was like, word, really? I was like, yeah, and that's why we definitely wanted to bring it up on the podcast. It was just funny. kinda
Yeah, I
small
mean I
world
think
type
this is
deal.
really this is a really good way for people to kind of get an introduction to me and hear a little bit about you know
Yeah.
what we're doing at IHMC, what we're doing at the VA. That's just the technology
Yeah.
side of it and stuff like that. But I really, I've spent 12 years in this chair, and I've had, 1,000 million people, that I've talked to in that time, and they all tell me like, you should share some of this stuff with other people.
Yeah, definitely.
I feel very arrogant sitting in front of, a microphone and telling people like, oh, I've been here and I've done this and da da da. But I don't necessarily think that those are the extraordinary things about the places that I've been and the people that I've met and the tables that I've sat at aren't really the spectacular things. What the most spectacular thing about the life that I've been given through this wheelchair is the lessons learned through the situations that brought me now.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's definitely stories that I want to tell people, you know what I mean?
You should write a book.
And that's the story, that's the answer I get 100% of the time. No kidding, man. Write a book.
You should, bro. In this day and age, man, it's definitely accessible.
Or maybe even start your own podcast.
Yeah, just sit in front of a mic and talk, bro.
Well, and see, and that's the hardest part about it is like staying in line, because it goes from one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
As
Like,
you can tell,
we've bounced around to 50 different topics trying to get through just the story of, like where I've gone and what I've done, and like just the gist of it.
It's
we go off on these tangents, but like you think about it, man. Like I grew up my first 18 years of my life, and like I said, I'm not special. There's nothing special about me. I've been put in a position, you know what I mean, to do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean, and leading up to now. But for 18 years, it was all outside, dirt bikes, rough and tumble. My dad worked 2 jobs my whole life, still works 2 jobs. So I've dug a lot of ditches. I've worked on a lot of job sites growing up. You know what I mean, all that stuff, industrial work, running equipment. You know what I mean, cutting grass, on tractors and stuff. And all that kind of stuff, digging ditches with dad, and then all these other job sites. I learned all that kind of like industrial, roughneck, blue collar work growing up, and then that just swift transition into being inside, and now I'm meeting with the mayor and and talking with socialites, and you know what I mean. And from one end of the spectrum on that, in the past 12 years, I've ate dinner with homeless people and been homeless essentially. Doing the cross country stuff, living out of my truck. And then at the same time of living in my truck and doing all this stuff, I traveled to Europe. Like I literally left for Europe, and the only thing I had was a pickup truck and some bags, and like that's what I left in Pensacola. I took some clothes to Europe with me, and then come back and I drove across country for 8 months.
This is how movies start, bro. This is how it started. He lived out of his truck and grabbed the 2 bags he had and headed to Europe.
Dude, no kidding, dude. Like leading up to this Sabbath, and it wasn't like I had to be homeless. You know what I mean? It wasn't like I'm homeless and I have to be, and and I'm so distraught or anything like that. I got to a point right before, like a year or so before the Sabbathlon, where I was like, I don't want any of this material stuff. Like I'd live in an apartment, I was working from home, miserable as all get out, and like I walked out of that apartment with like 2 bags, and that was it. And I went camping, like literally I camped for like a month. Out at some like little lakes and stuff in the north.
Before you went, I remember.
Yeah, you remember I camped out there?
Telling me like I'm going out for like a month, and then.
And then a buddy of mine from high school let me rent off his couch, man. I lived on his couch for several months. And and I've lived on his couch a couple times over the past few years. And now I got the RV and staying in the RV. And all this time, watching this technology develop, and helping to push and drive that technology as best I can from the user's point of view. You know what I mean? And then just there's so much, man. And I feel like there's a kid out there like me that needs to hear some of this, but how do you know what I mean? Like how do you define what somebody needs to hear?
I think you need to be as vocal as possible, accept the fact that you're at the forefront of this kind of technology. Own your position in it, man, and tell your story, dude. Regardless if that's through a podcast or our podcast or a book that you write or your own podcast. I think that's your duty, bro.
Well, I'm kind of using this in your podcast as a way for people to kind of get back in touch with me and like, what did what is interesting here? What does somebody need to hear? What is somebody interested in?
I don't think we definitely even scratched a lot of the surface. I think there's a lot more for you to tell. So, anytime you want to come back on, dude, give us a hit. We got some people lined up, and whenever we got an open spot, dude, you're more than welcome to come chop it up with us and tell us what you got going on, dude. We appreciate you coming on, Mark.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it, bud.
Good. Come hanging out, bro. Alrighty, guys. Mark, Daniel, we're gonna plug your podcast. I'll do this little thing at the beginning where, not plug your podcast, plug your social media sites and all that, and where they can find it. But until then, this is the Predetermined Acts of Randomness podcast, and we are out.
Bye.